I am Justin Horo, joined as always by the Triple OG, Willie Mason. Fist pump. Fist pump. What's doing? Mace, we've got a big show. There's a lot going on. Origin coming up on Wednesday night. We've got predictions. We've got a very special visit from Jamie Buhrer, who works for the RLPA, a very good friend of ours, ex-teammate of ours in 2015, Mace. We will be previewing the entire round of round 19, the 5 games. Bounce back from your boys. Must be happy. Just got there. Yeah. And we have our YouTube questions and dogs of the week as per. But before we get into that, apart from the dog side of it, Mace, how was the weekend?
Pretty good, actually. Busted my, I told you this, I think I told you yesterday, I tore my bicep tendon at training. On Friday.
How?
So I was trying to lift the pad there. If you can see the big, bit of a
you got the Willie Tonga.
Yeah, I got the Willie Tonga.
The Willie Army Tonga.
So I ruptured that. So I was just got to. You can't operate on it. You just got to deal with it. First week or two, just keep it like pretty much like that. But yeah, it's proper rupture.
You gonna get an op?
No. You can't get an op on the top part of the.
Oh, sorry.
If you do it down below, you need it because it just turns into a little ball. But that's not too bad. I just have to just got to ice it all the time. But that was a bit annoying because I was just trying to put a pad away and it slipped. The pad slipped. And it just went bang like that and it just fucking popped right there.
What do you mean? It wasn't in a drill?
No, it was in I was just trying to put the, the big gymnastic things. When you tackle and you fucking belt people, they get on these gym mats. So I was just trying to pick it up and it fucking slipped and just went like that. And I was like, oh shit. I think I've done my bicep. Everyone sort of fucking started laughing. I was like, no, I've done my bicep. I fucking did it. So that was my weekend. We'll get to the footy, which made me a little bit more happier. Us winning that game and just cruising home, man. Did nothing. It's good. Right. Real good.
I was getting after it.
What'd you do?
I'm going to fill everyone in a bit the prep. The Monday review show is going to be my prep.
Yeah.
I'm officially a part of the Sydney Marathon preparation, which is brought to you by ASICS Australia. They're the major sponsor. Yeah. I've actually reached out to ASICS because of the relationship that I used to have.
Surely they got something.
Got some kit. I'm ready to go. So I'm going to be proper getting into it now. So I'm my 4th week into preparation. We ran for an hour and 45 minutes. I want to give a shout out to Nick Youngquist and Ben Lucas. Yeah. Nick Youngquist is an ex-league player. Ben Lucas, I think he's ran like 45, 50 marathons before. They got a few run clubs together. We ran on Sunday at Centennial Park for an hour and 45 minutes. I pumped out 18.5K.
Fuck.
Yeah, so that's my longest run to date outside of doing the Sydney
your 10Ks. You've been doing. You bust out 10Ks.
Yeah, 10Ks of kiddies now. Getting through them pretty easily. So we do a big run Tuesday. Tuesday, a soft sort of 8 or 10K run. Then on Thursday, that's when I go hard. That's the one that I sent into the group for just us. And then on the Sunday, we run for time. So preparation's going
good?
Yeah, preparation's really going as good as I expect. Because I was expecting, maybe the body to break down a little bit. But with our friends and partners at BodyScience.
Are you smashing it? Trust me, you got to hammer that.
You know what I've been hammering? The high-protein vanilla. A great tasting high-protein, low-carb blend of quality protein, the perfect combination of both fast and slow-release proteins to provide energy for optimum performance and muscle recovery while keeping you satisfied for longer, which I needed on those runs, mate. So I have been pumping them. So this is when I use the high-protein vanilla. I've been having it for after my runs. So what I do is chuck it in a smoothie, a couple of bananas, a scoop of the protein. I'll have some organic peanut butter, some oats, frozen blueberries, and some oat milk on top of it. It is. It's actually really nice. Whip that up, and that's been my recovery for the last couple of days. And
it's good, man.
As you can see, the rig's
good,
looking
mate.
good.
You're looking all right.
Your bicep was looking good, but I reckon starting to lose some weight around the face. This is when I can feel it straight away.
Yeah.
The chubby cheeks. Whenever I feel like I'm blowing out,
just cheeks.
I can see it straight in my cheeks as we.
You nervous?
As we do contact. No, I'm pretty good. I did 18. Honestly.
So with the training, how you get 18, 20. Are you building up to like 40K, or are you just going to go fuck it? I'll just do the 40K.
So we started.
It's 42K, right?
Yeah, I'm sweating now like I'm running now. I might chuck the aircon on, Mace. Yeah, so on the Tuesday, just say for instance, we'll do like a slow 10K, and then we'll do a fast 10K, and then we're running for time. So originally when we first started doing it, because we were sort of in that run club anyway.
Yep.
Early on, so I was doing, roughly 5 to 8K runs anyway. So now I've just built it up, and the more you go on, the further you go. So for instance, on Tuesday I'm only going to run 8K.
Yeah.
But on Thursday I'll run 15K which I'd normally run 10. So incrementally building it up and really looking forward to it. My Strava's going off at the moment because I keep talking about it on either here or SEN.
Yeah.
So people were jumping on board. I obviously met a few people that were running on the weekend. Shout out to Youngie again. Benny Lucas doing a great job. Just on that quickly, I always talk about our show on SEN, but I haven't really been mentioning it on here. I've been lucky enough to get some work with them at the end of the week.
Yeah.
So on Thursday, I do a show with Jimmy Smith. On Saturday, I do the mowers with the Missile. He's a diehard Bulldogs fan.
Loves it.
And then off the back of that, I've been able to call a few games as well. I'm calling Origin on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I'm
Nice.
looking forward to that. I've called a couple of games at the venues, the Raiders-Roosters game and a Parramatta Cowboys.
Good, man.
I'm looking forward to that one, calling Origin, because that's a different kettle of fish.
Right,
that
that's
feels
different.
like I've made it in the calling game, if that makes sense. But
You're making some good moves. It's good.
shout out to everyone at SEN, and I was on the run home, so I'm like the 18th man for SEN at the moment. So whenever they need someone, I get the call up. I'm the Jarrell Skelton. I'm the Jarrell Skelton of SEN at the moment, and I got called into the run home with Joel the other day, filling in for Fletch.
Yeah.
And guess who the two people were that we interviewed that called in? Freddie was the first one.
Wow.
Right? Who, like, honestly, I felt that guilty.
Did you ask that question?
No, I've got to be very diplomatic on SEN.
With the Gutho one, but
I did, yeah,
You'd
the
ask
Gutho
that
question.
one?
Yeah, I did ask the Gutho question.
Well, Gutho should be happy. There's no plan for him.
Well, this is, and it sort of, it's a different form of content and a media outlet, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm on SEN, I've got to be a little bit diplomatic.
Yeah,
It's a
of
part
course.
of the gig. So I was, I sort of asked him a question around Gutho, and it was, for me, I was trying to boost up Gutho, right? I was like, Gutho's one of my teammates. I love him. He's going to bring that energy. You've obviously got a plan. You don't have to give it away, but how's he been in camp? And then he goes, you actually don't have a plan. And it sort of got a bit of attention.
I got a lot of tension.
There is a part of me that felt guilty. I felt like an imposter, like...
Oh, not really.
Well, look, at the end of the day, I've been very critical of the coaching, and I've talked about you and other candidates replacing him, so it did feel a little bit uneasy. And then guess what? I finished off with Morgan Turanui. Morgan, he was good. So he was over he's over in South Africa. He's
a good man, Morgan.
He was reporting for So for people that don't know, I think I explained
the bit of history, there.
We obviously had that disagreement with regards to cheese.
Yeah.
We got in contact with each other. He reached out to me on the socials.
He's a man. He's both men. That's how men fucking solve their problems, not on fucking Twitter.
Yeah, and it was good. And I disagreed with his take. He disagreed with what I said, but we ended up finishing up with, all right, we agree to disagree sort of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit like the RLPA, which we'll get to. You've got to find some happy medium there somewhere. But it was quite funny to think that Freddie, after what had been saying, and then Morgan Turanui, which was probably the most viral clip that we've probably had clipped up on socials. And then I've got to interview those two. So it was quite a funny moment. And also, I just want to say that
set you up, man.
Yeah.
Set you up.
I'm loving doing the work at SEN. So thanks for looking after me, SEN. Brooksy, for organising those two guests. Without that, Mace, let's get into it. Round 19 preview, Origin 3 predictions, 12.4 subscribers, 800 up from last week, basically growing at 1,000 per week. Welcome to all the new listeners, but remember, hit that subscribe button because we're chasing 20K, and we'll get that by the end of the year easily. People are loving the show, and a big part of the loving the show is their favourite YouTube questions. So, Mace, let's get into it, and we're going to have to work this one together.
Yep.
This one got a lot of likes, got a lot of comments, so I made sure I hit it. Question for next potty, boys. Who is your Australian squad if it was picked tomorrow? Lewis Daniel, 8620. So let's work this together, Mace. We both haven't got this written down. No, let's not worry about the bench. Let's go 1 to 13. So let's just go starters. Fullback, it's between Reece Walsh, James Tedesco, potentially Kalen Ponga as well. Well, you got to throw him in. He would have been in consideration. Mel doesn't necessarily pick the same team as what Billy would have for Origin, right? So everyone's up for grabs. Who gets the fullback spot?
I'll tell you how they are very loyal, the ARL. and they always stick. They won the World Cup, right?
Yep.
You're going to go with Teddy.
Yep.
I think so.
I
think
still
just it's still Teddy. Hear me out. People at home is going to whinge and say Reece Walsh is a better fullback at the moment, yeah. But Teddy does a job with the Australian level for so many years. He was the incumbent. I think he's captain now. He's captain, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
he's a captain.
Yeah,
You're not going to drop the captain just off an Origin series. So I'm just going to stick with Teddy. I know Reece Walsh is the future, and KP as well. They're chasing, but at the moment, I'm not going to change from Teddy.
And I agree. So I reckon we're going to get a lot of backlash on this one. I am still of the opinion that I think Teddy needs to be. I would have replaced Teddy for Game 3 for Origin for Scott Drinkwater, but for Australia, with the strength of the Australian squad and how you get the Queensland players in that team, I still think Teddy, despite all my criticisms for him at Origin, not being able to get the job done for New South Wales, I still have Teddy just barely over Walshy.
Yeah.
But
they're coming.
But right now, this is right now. If Teddy continues to slide and slip up and they don't make the finals. He's clearly down on confidence. This game will play a big part in it. Walsh could jump in within 2 or 3 weeks, in my opinion.
I still think he'd be in the squad, but then it just depends if they pick that 25-man squad.
I don't think he will be in the squad. If you don't pick him fullback, I don't think they would have. I'd have Reece Walsh and Drinky.
Yeah, it'd be hard.
Yeah.
I just know how loyal the ARL are, and he's captain and he's a fullback and he's Teddy.
Yeah,
he deserves to get that conversation from Mal. This will be your last one.
Okay.
This will be and from New South Wales, this could be your last one.
Yep.
Until you prove yourself again. Like
you've been big on that across the board with him, right?
Yeah, you can't just drop a play like of Teddy's caliber.
All right, wingers, and let me preface one thing straight off the bat. Everyone is available with regards to the Pacific Islander players. So, for instance, Murray Taulangis are available. He played for last year. We represented Australia. Brian Toto, who represented Samoa, he's available for Australia. This is basically trying to form the two best Queensland New South Wales team. If they end up choosing to play for the Pacific Islanders at the end of the year, we're just trying to build our strongest team. So, Brian Toto
and Cobbo. And Cobbo.
Ooh.
I like Cobbo, man.
Ooh, I'm going Taulagi.
Yeah, it's close. I was either Taulagi or Cobbo. I just like the way Cobbo, he's aggressive, man. He's play twos. I think he's play twos coming out of yard. He's just a lot stronger than Taulagi. Taulagi finishes unreal, but so does Cobbo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Cobbo's had a few little injuries this year. Held him out of Origin 2.
Yep.
But a full fucking fully fit Cobbo, I reckon he's easily a top 2 winger in the world.
He's got higher upside than
Taulagi.
I just think
he's a gun. Like he's got some shit that no one else can do. But
I reckon
Cobbo,
he's super safe.
Cobbo, like he runs. He'll go at your front rows. He'll go at anyone, and he creates tackle busts. He creates momentum for the next center or the other the left side back row, whatever side he's coming from, to get that fucking momentum going forward.
Yep.
He's a gun.
I'm going Magic Murray. I just think he's, in what I've seen in the 2 Origins and probably the last 6 weeks of work at the Cowboys and last year, I just think he's a little bit of a safer option. Now, when you play for Australia, you probably don't need to go for those high ceiling guys.
And the fact that he has played for Australia, that helps. That helps.
Yeah, that's true. That plays a part. Helping out my narrative. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, the centres.
Val Holmes is the best centre in the world.
Yep, he's one for me.
He's one, and the other one I just cannot think of.
Latrell for me.
Is it Latrell?
Latrell. I didn't care.
Does Val play right? He can play right. Who cares?
Yeah.
Latrell. Yeah. I actually forgot about Latrell because he's not playing. I saw Latrell on the weekend.
Yeah.
He looking fit?
Yeah.
He's looking fit.
He is, eh?
He's fucking looking fit, man. We had a chat for about 5-10 minutes in the tunnel. He's ready to roll. They turned a grade 1 into a fucking 6-week injury. Just trying to rush him back. Fuck me. He's a Ferrari. You know what I mean? Take care of him.
You save your big fella for the
Take care of him, mate. And I think they're going to go on a bit of a run. But yeah, fucking oath Latrell and Val. That's it.
Latrell and Val, pretty easy. The halves, I think the halves are pretty easy now. When last year, I reckon there was a debate.
We've got Munster, easy.
Yeah.
The half is the one. We just say Cleary comes back. He gets about 6 weeks under his belt.
Yep.
They go on a big run.
Yep.
He's the incumbent.
Yep. You're picking it today, though, Mace.
Well, so fucking DCE.
Okay.
Easy.
Which is, look, I suppose people are going to be screaming out now on Latrell right then if you're picking it today on.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. That fucks it up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But
Latrell. But I still would pick Latrell over anyone in that position. I'm picking right now. on form from what I've seen and the way that they've played in the Origin Arena now for 2 years in a row.
Easy DCE.
I'm picking DCE.
Easy DCE.
And I'd play Nath at 14.
Yeah, he can play hooker.
Yeah,
he can play ball playing lock. He can play a lot
Even
of
though I
plays.
said we weren't going to.
Because he's a great defender as well. What do we got? Props now?
Props, yep.
Payne Haas is one.
Yep.
The hooker's Harry Grant. And the other prop, fuck, it's hard because you got to think of it. We pick a benches. We're not.
No benches.
Tino and Payne.
Yep, I agree.
No one else.
Pretty I suppose you got, the Ruben Cotters of the world who potentially won't make it. He'd be a bench player,
He's a
right?
bench player, yeah. We'll
Lindsay
just pick 1
Collins
to
has
13.
been really good. Junior Barlow, Regan Campbell-Gillard, some big names.
None of them are near those two.
Junior's
They're way ahead. We spoke about this at the start of the year when Payne Haas is way above everyone. Tino he's fucking either better than him at the moment or he's just there.
Yep. So Tino and
Payne.
Back row.
Oh, who's the back row? Fuck.
So you got David Fafita, Jeremiah Nanai. Tom Gilbert obviously can't play because he's out. And then you've got Liam Martin and
Liam Martin on the left, Nanai on the right.
Yeah, same.
Carrigan lock.
Yeah.
That's it.
You like that team?
I fucking like that team.
Yeah, it's a good team.
It's fucking Carrigan or Cam Murray.
Yeah.
Maybe in an Australian arena, I'd probably go Cam Murray.
Would you?
Yeah.
I'm going Carrigan.
One of those guys. I'll go Cam Murray because you're going Carrigan.
Isaiah Yeo was the incumbent from 13th in the final.
No, I think they've both overtaken him. Well, especially I think Carrigan's probably the best lock in. I'll go with Carrigan. He deserves it.
Yep, I'm with Carrigan as well. So there's our team, and that is from Lewis Daniel 8620. So there is our team, brother. So let's go back through it one more time. We had different fullbacks.
Teddy.
No, we had Teddy. We both had Teddy.
Toto.
I
had Cobbo.
I had Taolangi. We both had Val and Trell. We both had DC and Munster.
Yep.
We both had Payne Haas and Fasul Malawi.
Harry
Grant. Both had Harry. We both had Liam Martin and Jeremiah and I.
Yep.
And you're sticking Paddy Carrigan? Yep.
Yeah.
Paddy Carrigan.
Right. I want the size. I like the size and mobility. They'll fucking destroy any team.
Yeah. What would be interesting
pick a better pack. I'm talking about balance.
Yeah.
Liam Martin, Carrigan, all those forwards easily play 70 minutes plus in the middle.
All right.
You're not using fuck all benchies.
Now let me throw you this.
Give it to me.
Murray Taolangi.
Yeah.
Payne Haas, Fasul Malawi, Jeremiah and I. They all play for Samoa instead. Now you've got to go. You get the Ruben Cotter DAWGS.
Yeah.
Cameron Murray DAWGS.
Well, we had this problem last year, didn't we? Didn't phase them. Brought him back a little bit. Tino
didn't come. Tino stayed for Australia.
I think
Murray
Tino's
did.
Gonna go.
Jeremiah did. All those players played for Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, Toto as well. And Payne was injured. Yeah. So we never got to find out. All right. Here we go. Next one is, hey, legends, love the potty. You guys inspired me to get after it and get in the gym since the potty started. I have lost 9 kilos.
Oh, well done.
Gained muscle. Love the BSC products. Quick question moving forward. What do you guys ultimately think makes a prime Origin coach? Mace, you've had a couple of great ones. This question's for you, mate. What made the Gus to you? Would Gus be your ultimate coach?
Yeah. I think.
And why?
Knowing the history of Origin, if you talk to GI, if you talk to any of the greats, Queenslanders, they go into camp and they get told the history of Origin, right?
Do New South Wales not?
No, not as much. Well, when I was with Gus, he did. He explained that a lot. But you got to understand the history of Origin, the amount of players we stole their players for 80 years. They're pretty suppressed, pissed off at us. That's why the whole Origin started. Artie Beeson gets picked from reserve grade. Starts all the Queenslanders play for Queensland. Played against New South Wales. Boom. Origin starts, has a fight with Mick Cronin. That's how Origin got birthed. But we stole all their players, all their best players for 80 years.
So Gus drums that down all the time.
Yeah, and he goes, that's why they fucking hate us more, because we got their players. Artie Beetson played more caps for New South Wales than he did for Queensland. So you had to play against your best mate all the time who's been playing for like Redcliffe or all the Queensland comp because it was pretty strong back then. Yep. But you weren't playing in the New South Wales Rugby League. So you take that over 80 years, the amount of hatred that got built, that's what goes into Origin. That's why they hate us more, all that kind of shit. We don't get it. You hear all those kind of things. Maybe we do, maybe we don't.
What about technically? Like
technically. So that's just. I think that's just one of the factors where you explain the history of the game, and then you don't overcomplicate it. There's rarely a coach that comes into Origin and tries to just change the wheel. You know what I mean? You get that at a club level because you're dealing with different levels of players, right? You're dealing with Origin players. You got to bring that to the table. You're playing. You need to be able to pass. You need to be able to be fit. Tick all the boxes to be an Origin player.
Yep.
So pick the right players.
Yeah.
The coach will pick the right Origin players. You don't overcoach them. And you pick good leadership group around them. Don't overcomplicate it, and just fucking go out there with that mindset.
Yeah.
It's not about the most highly skilled. Look at all the people that have got man of the matches and all that kind of stuff.
For Queensland, the last
for Queensland, it's just no nonsense for Carrigan and fucking. Do you know what I mean? Like
Collins
Collins,
this year.
They're just hard men. They don't give up. There's a mindset when you go out there. It's all effort, discipline, all that fucking little gritty shit that you don't do, that players don't do week to week. You know, like we've got to go to that Origin effort, Origin moments. You've got to try and pick those kids that do that at club level. Will they do that in Origin level? Yeah. And, you know, Gus used to do that. I think he's the best Origin coach for New South Wales. So that's the difference, you know. And I think Billy has that as well because he's learnt off Bellamy and he's learnt off Mal, like two of the greats as well. So at a club level and at an Origin level, Mal's just Mal. Mal didn't really coach those series, mate.
Yeah,
he had some great players in there, and he's Mal Meninga. He's just turn up to training. You want to play for Mal?
Got a presence about him.
Presence, yeah. So I think that's what that they're all the little things that you need to tick.
Yep, beauty. Lister Bear, great question. Hopefully that answered it for you and the punters. This one is a statement, and I'd like to throw this one out for you because I've got to give you your flowers, AG. Big Willie Mystic Mace, 5 from 5 this week. Put that through the tab. Love the potty boys. Keep it coming. That's from Gunner1155. I also want to shout out our friends, the tab, and I will mention straight off the bat, you know why you go well? And look, this isn't just a fluke. Gunner11155. The fact that you aren't a punter is why you pick games and pick moments, I think, because you're not a punter, you don't look at odds. No. So you just pick the game based on who you think's going to win. I sort of give you some details.
Yeah.
But if you're sometimes, I think this is what happens, and this is for the punter out there. I'm trying to talk to the punter now. Sometimes you've got to take away the odds and then find out what the best possible result in your mind is. And this is what I'm going to do next year, right? I'm going to start it next year. I'm going to put this data down because you've been on fire this year, right? You've done really well. I'm going to pick the games. I'm not going to look at the odds before I pick the games. I'm going to go through how I envision the game going, who I think is going to win, who's going to sort of what a rough scoreline, what it's going to be. And then I'm going to go make my selections for the tab and for the LPC multi.
Yeah.
And then that's what I'm going to do going forward because you basically don't look at any of the odds and you just pick you pick on who you think is going to win the game, who you think is going to play a good game. And for that reason, I think
works a little bit.
You get it more accurate than you don't. So, Gunner,
thanks, Gunner.
1155, giving you your props, OG. Speaking about giving them the props, let's get into our body science. DAWGS of the week, round 19. Kicking it off with OG. Mace, who you going this week?
There's a couple of good games. I watched every game. It wasn't that exciting. I mean, like the Tigers and Sharks was like, come on. Parramatta, the Warriors game, I was just like, fuck it. I mean, always, when I pick the dog of the week, I want to go against some hard opposition, you know what I mean? I like a Brisbane. It's going to usually come from a Brisbane and Penrith game. Yep. Souths and Roosters, I know because of their hatred and all that kind of stuff. There wasn't that many hatred games, but always rate St. George's pack.
Yep.
Always rate them. You know, they've got some good outside back. They're very physical. They're old school. They want to bash you. They're a bunch of bullies. That's how they fucking get down. Young kid, Timoko, right? He rolled out 80 minutes, 16 hit-ups, 250 metres. Like, I think it was about like 10 tackle breaks in there.
Dog.
Easily.
12
tackles.
9 tackle
12
breaks.
tackles. No misses, 100% efficiency in his tackles. But like he was fucking unstoppable in that first game.
That's actually big, Mace.
Yeah, it is big. The efficiency. So get
for
this at home. For a centre, you're on an island there. You're not in the middle there where you can get usually, we're trying to get like 95% efficiency in the middle. In the middle. So I'll explain to people at home. When Hoz runs at me, even though I tackle him, but you find your front, I lose that tackle.
Yep.
I need to somehow get you on your back. That's when I win that tackle. So to him to have 100% efficiency, so he's won every tackle. It wasn't just a legs tackle. It was a body-to-body tackle, boom, putting that guy on his back. So
when Moses Sully too on his edge.
Moses Sully is a big body, mate. And he was coming at him. And Moses Sully is fucking huge. And he runs hard. It's hard to get him on his back. So like that's where when we always talk about the efficiency of tackles, like in the middle, like when we talk about Ruben Cotter, like he's 95% plus. So he's making 30 plus tackles.
Yep.
So all those tackles, he's getting people on their back. He's winning those tackles. You got to go up against a guy, Tino, big Tino or Payne Haas. He's fucking near winning those tackles all the time.
But Mace, let everyone know, because they're in the middle and they get help from either side of them most times, they should be, like if you got a threshold for a middle right, it should be 100% over 90%, and the elite should be 95%.
Yeah, 90% minimum.
But when you're out on an edge and you get out on an island, sometimes you get some early ball to a guy like Moses Sully or Benny Murdoch-Marcilla, and you are still able to make 100% efficiency. That's a great start.
Even though it was only 12 tackles. Doesn't matter. Try and win 12 tackles. It's hard. So that's my body science dog of the week. Timoko has been on fire. Fuck, he looks hard to tackle.
Dog. You know who
looks hard.
Matty Utah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Just runs, just real low. He looks awful to tackle.
See,
looks awful.
I think it was his second try. Was it the first try when he made that sort of? No, it was his first try. And then he had, I think Bud Sullivan was coming across, and then he sort of just picked out poor Turner and ran over him. Just like 5 meters out, bro.
Yeah.
Had a lot of work to do with someone covering in at his legs and then going over the top of Turner.
I rate him
highly. Dog, so do I. I think he's a Kiwi too. He's
Kiwi
declared
boy?
for the Kiwis. Yep. I think he was a part of the squad last year for the World Cup. We've got ourselves a player there for sure for the Kiwis. All right, moving on to my body science dog of the week. And I've been impressed by this guy for a long time, Mace. He sort of was coming through when I was finishing up my career. At the time, he was at Canberra Raiders. It's Mitchy Barnett.
Yeah.
18 carries for 183 metres.
Shit.
68 post-contact metres, 4 tackle breaks, 3 line breaks, 29 tackles, 0 misses, and 2 tries straight through the
Fuck off, Mitch Barnett.
Mitch Barnett, he was outstanding.
Newcastle boy.
He played
Singo
right edge,
boy.
he played left edge, he played middle, and when he played through the middle, he went straight through the middle. Mitchy Barnett is the dog.
Wow, that's fucking great stats. I'm happy for him, man, because he left Newcastle. Newcastle boys never want to leave Newcastle, right? Let alone go to New Zealand.
Is he a Newcastle junior? Because he played at Canberra growing up. Is he?
Yeah.
He played at Canberra originally.
I know he's from Singleton.
Let me.
He might have played his 20s down there because Pangai Junior. He played with Pangai.
Did he?
Played with yeah.
Okay, I'm just getting that.
Pretty sure. Now. Don't quote me on that. Pretty sure they come through.
We'll find out. We'll get it up.
Yeah, but I'm happy for him. He's had a few little injuries this week.
Yeah,
I mean this year. So.
Yeah, here we go. Professional front row.
The Warrior's the real deal, eh?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Fuck.
Where is he? Taree.
Yeah,
Taree.
Right.
So that's Latrell.
Johnny Badiris area.
Is that
Latrell?
Latrell's Taree?
Old Bar. That's where Boydie's from.
Yeah,
they've fucking got some good footballers up there.
There you go. He played 2 games in Canberra Raiders from 2015, which was my last year, and I remember he got a bit grubby with Killer.
He's got it in him.
And that was like his first 1 or 2 games.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit of chirping. I forgot exactly what was said, but we went at each other a little bit. And then that was back in the days when it was like, even back then in 2015, it was pretty simple. Generally, when you kicked it out, it was the back row that used to take the first hit up, and then they used to figure out some shape. Now they tip on.
Yeah.
So we went at each other a couple of times, had a bit of chat in between it. Killer was my right edge centre. And I remember thinking at the time after that game, I was like, fuck, I really like that Mitchy Barnett. So congrats to him, Body Science Dog of the Week. And he's only played the 7 games for the Warriors this year. But when he has played, he really stiffens
He really gets Aden Fanua-Blake going as well because he does all the tough shit.
Yep.
He does all the little dirty work, you know what I mean, where Aden can take that 3rd hit up, 2nd hit up, get off a quick play the ball and get those quality meters.
Okay, we mentioned at the top of the show, Maze. Just want to take this time to have a little break. We're going to bring in Jamie Buhrer. He's going to give us a chat about the RLPA. So let's get into it. Here we are with a good friend of mine, Jamie Buhrer, Mace, ex-teammate of ours. I just want to start this off by prefacing a couple of things. Like I said, very good mate of mine, one of my best mates from footy, still in contact all the time, in regular chat over the last 10 years. So there are parts that I do know about this situation that we've been communicating through on the WhatsApp groups and stuff like that, Jimmy. Also, I'd like to say straight off the bat, Mace, that me and you are very pro players.
Pro players.
Very pro players, and we feel like we are the perfect platform for you to come on based off some of the critiques that the players and the RLPA are copying with Andrew Abdo going on representing the NRL. But also the one thing that I respect about you, Jimmy, is you always shoot us straight down the middle. You're always pretty straight up. And I always understand that there's 3 sides to every story. His side, her side, and somewhere in between is going to be the truth. And I think that's why you guys are stuck at the moment, and that's where you're at. You're just trying to find that middle ground, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I do appreciate you both having me on. I don't know if I had an accomplished enough rugby league career to get on with me rugby league credentials. So,
mate, I wouldn't be hosting straight off the bat.
I'm glad I can use my RLPA badge to get a run on here. So, no,
don't worry, I've
Thank
managed
you.
to be hosting this, Jimmy. So if I can get to hosting, then you're very well qualified to be on here, brother. Mate, just straight off the bat, a couple of things that, I've got some stuff that I want to address that I wanted to ask. You said you prepared for everything. I'll tell you who was prepared and did a really good job was your boss, Clint Newton, Triple M. He went in there, he took on the tough questions, he took a few bullets for the RLPA, but I thought he handled himself really well.
Yeah, look, I will say it's been disappointing. I think a lot of the reporting and particularly a lot of the targeted reporting, really trying to go at Nudo as if he's some type of lone wolf, which is completely incorrect. I mean, Nudo's our leader. He's a leader of the RLPA. He represents the players, and he's a courageous leader. And he's happy to go out there and wear the bark on behalf of the players because that's what they expect, not only of him but from us as a player association. So we're happy to wear it. I'm not going to lie and say that I'm not a bit disappointed with some of the targeted stuff, particularly with Nudo, but it's not completely unexpected.
Like, what are the couple of ones that sort of stand out that really disappoint you, especially from past players? Because I thought Hoops really hit him hard, Gordy hit him hard, but he handled him well.
Well, I think those two that you named, they're front and centre that have gone pretty hard at Nudo, but they're not on their own. I don't want to.
They're coming at him all the time.
For sure. And that is the targeted stuff I'm talking about. At the end of the day, there is 2 sides to every story. So it's not that, we're against the idea of there being the other side told, but I think some of the personal stuff, I think, is quite unnecessary and definitely disappointing. And it's part of the territory. Nuno's not going to get up and complain about it. He's going to get up tomorrow and he's going to challenge someone else on it because that's what he does.
I think they underestimate how smart Clint Newton is. I've known Nuno since I was 12 years old. One thing he was good at was fucking talking. And he schooled Hoops and Gordy. He needs someone like Tucker Carlson or something interviewing him. You know what I mean? Pierce Morgan.
Yeah,
He'd school both those
Pierce
blokes.
Morgan isn't going well at the moment either
Pierce
with
Morgan's
Yashes.
but Tucker Carlson, he'll come at
He
him.
ain't the guy.
He needs Stephen A. Smith or something. You don't need Gordon Tallis and fucking James Hooper. He was just like bang, bang.
Yeah, he was seeing him well. He was
seeing him real early and he was just hitting him out there. But it's great to see Nudo doing a forum like this, not being on the phone, not doing all that kind of shit when they can really they can cut you off, they can say what they want. He was there right front and centre in a suit, dressed all nice and dapper. They're on their fucking Triple M garbage shirts. You know what I mean? But it was just like,
Love you, Charlie.
Looked amateur. You know what I mean? You got this Dobbo guy coming in. You're trying to all their narrative was just about money, money, money. It's not about money, is it? It's about all the little things like the health insurance. Stopping the NRL from giving us 30 games without even asking the players.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? All these little nuances that the actual punter doesn't know. But the way that mainstream media has painted it is to make us all look like greedy pigs and we just want more money. That's not the fact, is it?
No, it's not. I think, they have been quite quick, the NRL, to talk to this landmark deal and about, how much money that the players are going to be getting because it's a story that is it's rolled out by every governing body. Every time something like this happens, it's the players are greedy, the players are greedy, the players are greedy. This is no different. The reality is the issues that the players have with this current proposal, this take it or leave it from the NRL, it's the terms and conditions. It's a lot of the players' rights. I mean...
And can you elaborate on all that kind of stuff? Because a lot of the people just don't know. Mainstream media will just be like money, money, money. But it is the terms and conditions, all the little things that they don't know. So explain to all the people and the fans what the terms and conditions are, what the RLPA is asking.
So probably, there was over 100 changes, but I think some of the main ones and the main blockers really, player autonomy of funds. So, as I said, the financials are not in dispute. We've already agreed an amount that's going to go to the players. Now, the vast majority of that's a salary cap. That's where it should go. Make sure the players are getting paid, they're putting on the product. But a smaller percentage of that, let's say, less than 10% goes towards player funds. So past player, medical support fund that's going to support has-beens like us, injury hardship fund that's, the retirement account, even, RLPA, their own association's funding. These all make up another part of the player's share of money. That's the player's share. Now, the NRL's position is They want parent control over how much the players can put in and into what buckets. I mean, it's a really outdated model in Australian sport. I mean, we've got an incredibly qualified board. We've been, very proactive in building out, particularly our non-player board directors, extensive financial, legal and corporate knowledge and governance, because we're ready to take on these funds. As an example of how far behind we are, I mean, the Australian Cricketers Association, they had this argument, they had this battle with the governing body in the 90s. All player associations are managing the players' funds. That's how far behind we are.
Wow.
Look, above forecast is another one, above forecast revenue. So in our settlement proposal, the players decided that they wanted the NRL to keep the first 300 million that they made above forecast. So the NRL expects to make this much. You can keep the first 300 you make over expectation, okay? And you can build your asset base. That was the olive branch that the players actually put forward to the NRL, protect the game's future. The NRL respond by saying, yep, we'll take that. But if in any of them years there is a loss of 10 million or more, the players need to share in it. So over a 5-year term, under the NRL's proposal, the game could actually exceed forecast by 300 million. But if in any one of those years they happen to have a 10 million or more loss, the players need to share in it.
COVID?
Sharing that loss.
So they want all the positives. They don't want anything
Absolutely.
to happen.
So would that happen through COVID? Is that the...
So during COVID, a part of the revenue share was absorbing some of the loss. So it is part of that partnership, absorbing a loss. But COVID, I mean, the game was sunk. It wasn't a 10 mil. It was huge.
It's massive, yeah.
So it was understandable. We're not saying we won't come back to the table when those things happen. We're just saying if we're going to give you a 300 head start, you can't be cutting them that short at 10 mil. Now, what compounds this even more is they want the players to share in this loss, but they also want to reduce their financial reporting requirements to the RLPA, and particularly our ability to audit and I suppose better understand the numbers. So they want the players to share in any loss of 10 mil or more, and they want us, they want to minimise the amount of reporting they can do and really minimise the ability for us to hold them accountable if they don't get the numbers right.
This has been for a while, right, mate?
I mean,
know you've been fighting for this.
For sure. So this is quite fundamental in a revenue share. If you're in a partnership, you shouldn't actually be taking away your reporting requirements. To build trust, you go, no worries. We've got nothing to hide.
Yeah.
We've got nothing to hide. These are our numbers. Okay, we're in a partnership. That's how we see a genuine partnership. I think there's a couple others. Player data. Their current position is, of collecting and storing player data. It doesn't comply with privacy laws.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit more about this, Jimmy, because I heard this on Triple M. I sort of quite didn't understand it. Is that to do with the data with regards to training? How much they're putting out on the field? Is that the sort of data they're talking about? It's all personal
and medical data. It's essentially, as it's written, the governing body, in our view, cannot own the player's data. I mean, you can't own that individual data. Now, that's not to say that we're against the idea of player data being shared, but there needs to be informed consent. We need to actually comply with the privacy laws. Yeah. I mean, from our point of view, from a leadership and a governance point of view, we can't agree to a take it or leave it deal that actually doesn't comply with privacy laws. So there needs to be a proper process for that data, that storage, collection, and any potential sale of that data that involves the players and their informed consent.
Okay.
Probably the other one is, and we talked off air, Mace and Hoz, we've talked about it, the ability for the NRL to add games to the schedule without the players' agreement. Now,
that's unbelievable.
So now they're actually saying that, in what industry can you actually add hours, days, weeks to an employee's schedule without agreement? Like, you just can't in any industry, not without their agreement. And the thing I find most bizarre is they've referenced 2 games as immaterial. Now, I watch the game now and I'm so glad that I've retired because it is an absolutely different beast now with that 6 again and seeing how big and physical. I mean, the wingers were always bigger than me when I was playing, but I look at them now and I'm like, holy hell, that's a big physical game. That's not to say the players won't be prepared to play more games, but as if they shouldn't have a say in agreement over whether or not that it's extended. I think that's super reasonable.
And would that coincide with a player payment up, you know what I mean? Like, you get paid more if they go, we're playing 30 games now, the cap's 12 million, 12.5. Would it increase with the play, with the amount? Or can they just go, all right, guys, we're playing 30 this year?
Well, I think...
Get your fucking boots on.
Well, I think
strap in.
It can definitely form part of the discussion, right? So if it's agreement rights, if the NRL was to go, look, we're going to add 2 games to the schedule. okay, this is why we're doing it. This is why we're doing it. It's not only is going to add revenue for all stakeholders, but also we've considered the risk to workload, because that's also a big one. We're going to account for it in ensuring that we have leave here and make sure that there's extra days off here and things to ensure that the players are actually protected. That's how agreement rights they're going to lead to those good discussions, these necessary discussions, instead of just going, look, we've done it, we've agreed it, and we haven't spoken to anyone that's actually playing in it yet, or here's these problems that have now popped up. Let's have them up front, and you have that with agreement rights over the schedule, because you can work through those issues, concerns, mistakes. Because at the moment, that's what's missing here.
Yeah, that's a big one. All right, mate. So I know your role as obviously being a good friend of yours. I know yourself and Tommy Simons, who are an ex-teammate of mine. Go out and see, you split the teams in half. Yep. I just want people to understand what your job is and how you've explained it to the delegates that therefore represent the entire squad or team of NRL players, because I'm putting them all together in a team in this movement. And also adding on to, because this is a big thing too, because there's a narrative that's building out there that was started from Sticks, that was mentioned by a couple of other people, that 95% of the players don't know what's going on. So let everyone know your exact role at RLPA, who you speak to, and how they've been able to filter it down to the players.
So my role is player operations. So, among other things, and certainly the most important part is I'm the conduit between the players and their associations. So I build the relationships. I've got 8 clubs that I represent. Tommy Simons, as you said, has got 9 that he represents at the NRL. But we've also got player operations that represent the NRLW, the 10 NRLW teams as well. So in my work, I work closely with the delegates within each club, and that's anywhere between kind of 4 and 5 players.
Can you give some of the names, examples of some of the guys?
Look, Wade Graham, our mate DCE, Christian Welsh, Bulldogs, we've got Reed Marnie, Gutho, Parramatta.
Yeah, so leaders of the club. Strong leadership.
So generally they are the captains and leaders within their club environment. But not all. I mean, I was always a delegate when I was coming through. I was an average kind of like good footballer that had good relationships, but I wasn't the captain. So we've got a lot of those as well. We've got those leaders within clubs that aren't necessarily your out and out, skipper up top, but they're a good representation, and they understand their role is they're representing the collective group. So I work closely with those guys. When we make a decision like of this magnitude, it's not just on necessarily the delegates. I mean, we've got our player board. We've got 50% of our board is made up of players. And Ches Wade, Christian Welsh, Josh Hodson. I'm going to forget a few, but Hannah Southwell, Chelsea Lenarduzzi. I probably may have forgotten one of the men, but I'm not sure that I have. But they're front and centre.
They'll be filthy.
I know. They're the ones that are generally making these big decisions. But one of this magnitude, we need all levels of our leadership structure. So we've got our player advisor group that sits below our board. Now, they're, again, our leaders, many of which I just mentioned that are on the board. They're captains, they're leaders within their club. They're on these meetings, right? They're having these CEO meetings. They understand the detail. They're invested. Not only are they playing the game and leading their club, but they're actually rocking up and putting in work on CBA meetings, so they understand it. And then we have our delegates that sit within the clubs as well. So for a decision like this, you need all levels involved in any decision that you make. You can't make a decision just with a couple of those at the top, because we're talking about, close to 800 members that we represent. So with this one, the reason why we had a meeting last Tuesday is because we just completed club visits. In my role, not only am I talking to them, I'm getting in front of them. And I can tell you honestly, I'm getting in front of these guys. And I know, we've got members of our team that are getting in front of the girls in the NRLW, and they're explaining where things are at, answering the questions, making sure the players are fully understanding of the situation as it stands, and they're frustrated.
So more than 95% no.
More than 95% are going to know. More than 95. And we're getting in front of them, and they're understanding. Yeah. And to be honest, when we were out at this most recent round, they're angry. They're talking about action. They're putting forward ideas for action. We're not going in there going, hey guys, like banging with the cup out, going, come on, I need you to fire up. Come on, do this. Mate, they are fired up. They're angry. You cannot take an action like this and you see the unified front across the whole weekend without a group that's buying in. Now, absolutely, one of the main narratives is, I've spoken to a couple of players and they don't know. You know what? We represent 800 players. Now, I look at the NRL, right? Andrew Abdo, he's the mouthpiece for the CBA. He understands it intimately. That's his, that's been, he's the negotiator on that side of the fence. If you go and ask the rest of Andrew's executive that's not involved, I'm telling you, they're not going to know all the detail. And you know who else is not going to know? Employee 500 in their team that's been working there for 6 months. That's part of the NRL.
This is part of
their team.
This is part of the they just try and
trying to get them to turn on each other.
So then,
turn on each other, like trying to control the narrative, like nobody knows. It's pathetic. But this is the way that the NRL is.
Yeah, it's look, it has been disappointing, but we've got some really strong leaders, and they do know what they're talking about, and they represent their clubs, and they represent them well. And I don't think I'm pressing ahead and we're pressing ahead like this with as much confidence if I hadn't just completed them club visits and seen and heard the passion of this playing group. And they're not all the leaders that are talking. They're not all the leaders that are talking to these club visits. It is some of those players that have only been in here for a couple of years that understand the importance of getting it right. Because without that, we're not pressing ahead like we are.
Yep. The NRL has said the RLPA don't want to consider equal payments for the Pacific Test nations. Is that true?
No, that isn't.
Far out. I'm glad.
It's, if I'm honest, we were the first to actually put this on the table, equal payment for nations. We did it pretty early in the piece of these negotiations. Disappointing that that's come out. Obviously
that got me originally.
There's obviously
when I heard that originally, I was like, I don't really like that one, and then.
Yeah, I fucking hated it.
Now, and then you explain a little bit more how they've made you look like you don't want international footy.
The reality is, this is the NRL's current offer, right? If for the international game is, they want all the current NRL and NRLW players out of their share of revenue to fund all the payments for the nations. Now, the NRL, they've come out and said, look, the ARLC is just really passionate about the international and they want to invest. Well, their current offer actually has the players investing in the international game. That's what it says. Here, you're going to pay for all the national payments. Now, I was never lucky enough to represent my country, and full props to everyone who has. Mace done it plenty of times. We don't begrudge that, but the NRL's offer to fund all those nations comes at the expense of things like, the injury hardship fund takes a hit. Wow. The retirement account benefit for all players that benefits all players needs to take a hit to fund those things. So we're talking about, using the players' funds to actually fund a tournament that in the NRL's proposal, if it makes a certain amount of revenue, if it ends up exceeding its forecast and killing it, they don't actually plan to share that with the current playing group either. So not only do they want the players to actually fund the tournament,
which 85-90% won't play in.
So, and those that do play in it are paying for themselves. But any money that's made is actually the NRL plans to keep. Now, we're for equal payments. All we've asked and continually asked is, tell us how much these tournaments are going to generate. I mean, if the ARLC wants to put a international window on at the end of the year, they would have done forecasts. I mean, the ARLC would have had Andrew present to them. There would have been a report, would have presented and said, this is how much we think it's going to make. Yep. The ARL said, beautiful, go ahead and do it. We've asked continuously, how much is planned to be generated from that tournament? They said, it's in there, it's in the forecast. We said, split it out and show us. We can't, it's too hard. Well, split it out. What we want to do is we want to actually sit down with the NRL, with the nations, because the nations haven't been included in this. We're talking about the nations that are supposed to be participating. They haven't been part of this discussion.
All the Pacific nations, anyway.
Yep, the Pacific nations, they haven't been part of the discussions today. Let's have a chat to them. Let's involve them, the NRL, the RLPA. Let's have a look at how much is going to be generated. Let's come up with a sustainable model for equal payments.
Why aren't they showing all this? Why aren't they being transparent? Why?
I don't know. It's to be honest, it's been a difficult one with this debate, this international debate, because we're not against the idea of investing in the game, but we just want to know the financials behind it. Because, if the players, particularly the players are going to be the ones that are actually investing in it, it's them that are going to be investing in it, we need to know what it generates. It's just good business. What's going to be the return on it?
But the headline was like $37 million RLPA is like costing the Pacifica. What a load of shit. Yeah. Bunch of pricks, man.
The idea's all right from the NRL in the in the sense that we want to see international footy. But
sure.
Players shouldn't be playing for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. You're talking 10%, right?
Yeah.
That are going to be playing in these. 10, 15% that's going to be playing in these international games.
Yeah.
Why should that be coming out of like a retirement fund and all that kind of stuff?
Exactly. So we're keen, and we are cognizant of the fact that we have a huge Pacific. That's only going to grow our playing group. That's only going to grow.
Yep.
And we were the ones that actually put it first on the table for equal payments. We just need some transparency on how much that's going to generate, and let's have a genuine conversation with the nations, with the players, with the NRL, and let's have a sustainable model for international footy.
Jimmy, where do we go from here? Like, I mean, like Clint Newton's been doing a lot of interviews everywhere. He said a lot of really good things. Like, I'm glad he did that Triple M thing. He fucking really schooled him on there. Where do we go from here?
Well, look, I think there's a couple of things. The main thing is the NRL's got to drop this take it or leave it, because that's the biggest blocker of progress. As I said off the top, there's a lot of things wrong with this deal that just they're not acceptable. So drop the take it or leave it. Come back to the table. Let's have an industrial relations mediator to come in and help here, because the NRL has been quick to say, "Oh, we've had mediators." You know, we had, Hugh Marks was one who, look, incredibly, he's achieved plenty in the industry, smart man, but he was paid by the NRL. The NRL paid him to come in and do that. So there's nothing independent about him. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say that, but that's not a really independent model, right?
That makes sense, mate. Like
And so all we're saying is let's get an industrial relations mediator, someone who's got experience working with employer-employee negotiations like this. Let's put the two proposals side by side. Like, we have nothing to hide. I mean, the issues that we have with the deal are player rights, employer rights related. So let's put them side by side.
Which would be in any workforce, right?
For sure. So let's have someone who has experience in this. They're not going to tip their hat either way. They're schooled in this, understanding that you've got an employer and employee.
Someone's going to have to give on either side eventually
on
some of the things.
Okay,
we're willing to negotiate. Yep. We're the only ones willing to negotiate.
So we just say at the end of this, everyone's willing to negotiate. We just say RLPA, NRL are here, and then the NRL still going, take it or leave it. What happens then? Because we always talk about V'landys. He's a dog. And he's stubborn and all this, and Abdo and all this kind of stuff. What if they go, take it or leave it? What's the next step for you guys for the game?
Well, I think in terms of any potential action, we're going to have to engage the group. But the reality is, if they do a take or leave that we can't take, this CBA expires. So
when?
October 31.
Fucking hell.
It's done and dusted.
Yeah.
So then there's no...
For the grand final.
Yeah, there you go. No, after GF.
Early October, the GF.
October 31.
Damn, you've played him, remember? You've got Clive Churchill. You should remember.
So without a CBA...
Oh, was yours September? Sorry, Jim.
So, no, you're right. Without a CBA, there's a whole lot that is linked to this CBA for everyone in the industry. Everyone in the industry. The terms and conditions, the funding for the clubs is tied to the CBA. The obligations of the players is tied to the CBA. Like, it's not a good position for anyone to be in. And I think if they continue down the line and take it or leave it, I mean, that is a natural consequence, because when time we can't agree as it is.
Can I ask you one thing quickly, Jimmy, before sort of half wrapping it up? You feel like, obviously, there's lack of trust, right, between these two from both sides, whatever way you view it. Is this only recently in the last couple of weeks? Because I remember at the start of the year we were talking positively, even in our group, away from what was happening. I was like, you guys felt like you were making some real progress. Is there anywhere in particular where you're like, fuck, this fell down somewhere and it's been almost so hard to reconcile on it and get back to common ground? Yeah.
Look, there is. I mean, in the last 18 months, there's been some really good moments of progress where both parties really work well together. But I think, look, there was time last year, or it was 12 to 18 months ago, where we had issues with transparency of financial information. We had to ask a lot more questions and do a lot more digging, where in the end we ended up ensuring that the players got paid what they were owed. Yep. That breaks trust. Definitely, I think, and to hear in the NRL's proposal,
when you figured out what was going on,
we had to do a lot more digging than we needed to, and we ended up getting there in the end, but not before digging. And that's why this financial reporting, minimising the financial reporting and our ability to audit, is kind of like, we can't accept that.
That feels like 18 months ago.
Because there's truthfully a lack of trust there.
Do you find they disrespect the hell out of the RLPA?
definitely.
Like they just go in there and just think, take it or leave it, you scumbags. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like. It's like, take it or leave it. We run the fucking game. You deal with it, whatever. That's what it feels like. It's just not even giving you any respect at all.
No, you're right. I think another incident, Hoz, just to kind of round it out, we had our Leaders in League conference earlier in the year, in late February, and kind of it was you were, and it was well documented, well publicised, in the weeks that followed. But Andrew came in to speak to the group. It was kind of in the heat of the negotiations. Like props to Andrew's kind of coming into the Lions den a little bit.
Yep.
The Lion and Lioness den, sorry, because we had NRL and NRLW leaders there, and he had an exec that came with him. And there was, recordings done without the players' permission, secret recordings. I mean,
fucking what?
Yeah, it's look, I don't want to labour on it necessarily, but it was well publicised, and that damages trust.
It wasn't that well publicised.
Mace doesn't know about it.
Yeah.
I was speaking about it on SEN with the missile when we had a chat with you on Saturday.
Shout out to Missile.
Shout out to Missile.
Love you, bro.
He didn't know, mate, as well. Like, I don't think it was as well publicised. And the reason I bring it up is because I knew that was an important part of what was going on and what happened. And, for whatever reason, from other media outlets, just didn't hear about it too much.
With so these types of things, they go towards that kind of governing body, just putting the foot on the player type of attitude that's been around for a long time in sport. And every time we think we take a step forward, there are instances like those that just kind of go, we haven't moved, we haven't changed a bit.
Hey, Jimmy, what about obviously we don't want to strike or anything like that, but that would be the last. I reckon they're just trying to force your hand or just bluff you or some way to go. They'll end up signing it anyway. They'll end up signing it because they always do. They always do. But we've never had this much player all in. We're all in at the moment. You know what I mean? In 2003, I think Gordy spoke about it with boycott and Gowie. I was part of that. You know what I mean? It got somewhere. We didn't have a CBA back then. We didn't have a lot of things. Do yourself a favour, people. Listen to Triple M. Interview with Clint Newton and Gordon Tallis and all that, and he'll fill you in a lot of things. But and I think they got through. That's 20 years ago. It's 20 years ago. We still haven't really fucking made that much money, made that many grounds, apart from the actual salary cap's gone up.
Set
obviously.
The platform for where
set the platform. It did set the platform because I was a part of that kind of stuff. We just went, all right, fucking everyone's out. We just, we follow the leader sort of thing. We're all together, and then we end up getting more and more ground. But what if they force our fucking hand and just go, all right, we're not moving, guys. Do we have the balls? Do we want to strike? Because that's probably the worst thing we want to do. Can the player strike? Will the player strike? Be the worst thing for the game. But are the players willing to strike? And how bad would that be for the game if we did? Because that is the worst case scenario. I'm not saying strike the fucking game, but they're making a stance right now with the journos, not talking all that kind of stuff. And they're going, yeah, whatever, who cares? We can stand that for about a week, whatever you're going to do. But what's that next step? Because if they just come up and just go, fuck off.
Yeah.
That's what I think that he's going to do. That's why I want to know that next step.
It's a good question, Mace, and I think I can't answer it necessarily on here because we're only willing to do what the group is willing to do and the players are willing to do. We're there. They pay us to do a job, right, and lead them. But when it comes to this type of action, this type of action has risks on the players. We make them aware. We've made them aware of the risks that are associated with this. We make them aware of the risks that are associated with strikes. And at the end of the day, if the players are actually willing to press on despite these risks, like they are with the boycott, the questions that I think the media should be asking is why? Why are they so passionate about this? Why is the NRL giving them a take it or leave it? Why has the NRL walked away from negotiations? And kind of why is it that the players are doing the wrong thing and the bad thing? If they're willing to actually take these risks, to put the pressure on the NRL so they can get back to the table. They're not even saying take it or leave it, the players. We're not going take it or leave it. We just want to get them back to the table. So they're the questions that I'd like for the NRL to answer. Why are the players willing to take these risks? And the answer is because it matters. It matters to them. Yeah. In terms of what comes next, I can't answer it because it really comes down to where the players are at. And if the NRL's behaviour, if they come out and say, suck it up,
that's what I mean. It's scary. It's scary. What the next step from the RLPA, for the NRL is that's going to be a real. It's a game changer, mate. But it's a game changer. That's what I'm saying. You're sitting like this, and V'landys goes, "Take it or leave it, Nudo, because we're not fucking budging." That's when you're got to go back to the players group. They got to go, "What are we willing to do?" Fucking suck. I reckon the NRL's probably going, "Don't worry about it. They'll fucking capitulate."
Well, I think
I don't think so this time.
Yeah. No, you're right, and it will be interesting to see how it rolls out and how the NRL responds. Hopefully, they respond the right way because obviously sitting across the table with them wasn't working. They've said take it or leave it. The players have done this so they can get them back to the table. That's what the NRL should be doing. Industrial relations mediator, come in there, put them side by side. Let's get a draft agreed CBA. The boycott ends. But more importantly, if the boycott ends, I mean, there's clarity for everyone. Yes. I mean, how good has the footy been? Like, seriously, it has been amazing.
It's the best it's been.
It has been amazing, the footy. The game is making more money than it ever has because of how good the on-field product is. We've got the NRLW season about to kick off. I mean, that's what we all want.
It's at its peak.
And at the moment, it's just the players that are willing to negotiate. It's time for the NRL to come back to the table. I don't want to entertain the take it or leave it proposition that you just tossed up because
I don't want that either. I just don't want. But I'd
like to think that the game understands this is too important. I'd like to think they understand this is too important. We've got to park the egos. We've got to put that deal side by side with an industrial relations mediator, and let's get this thing done.
Well, I hope so.
Well, you said it's reached its peak. I think there's levels to it. I think we're only going up in the NRL. Yeah. Jimmy, you're doing a great job at the RLPA.
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Tommy Simons, and your fearsome leader, Clint Newton, mate. He's been outstanding. I've known Newton since I was 12. Yeah. So I know what he's about. He's the dude that you want leading the ship. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's fucking fearless. He's very articulate. He speaks well. And he's fucking smart. So well done to all you guys.
Mate, so you said we would have had him on, but we didn't want it to go for 2 hours. Just Jimmy.
Yeah, and you don't. Yeah, you done the right thing. No, thank you.
All the best, guys.
Well done,
Jimmy,
guys.
all the best with it. Big couple of months coming up, mate. Footy season's been unreal, so hopefully we can get this sorted.
For sure. Thank you. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Cheers.
Okay, Mace. Jimmy, really good chat. Some really good information there. Really appreciate Jimmy taking out his time.
Yeah.
Taking out his time? That's not... Taking time out of his day.
Yeah, something like
that. That's better. To come in nighttime, for people that don't know, we film this at night. So Jimmy's had a full day of content, stuff that's breaking, and he still made the trek to us. He lives all the way out in Manly, and I really appreciate coming in. Really good mate of mine.
That was really insightful because like there's some stuff that we don't really know, all the little nuances and everything like that.
I still learned some stuff.
Exactly. We really learned some stuff, and hopefully just the punter at home. We said this last week, the fans, I feel sorry for the fans, but like this is not about fans. The players need to really make a stance, and they're doing it now.
It is about the fans as well.
It is, but I mean, fans are disappointed, right? Yes. So I got fucking DM'd like, oh my God, like, like the players can't do this. I'm like, fuck, it's only been 2 or 3 days that they haven't had an interview. It's not fucking 3 weeks. Yeah. I said, these guys need to make a stand for just a week or two just to get for the greater good. I said, ease up. You're acting like they fucking boycotted the year. Like they're so sensitive. I said, this is 2 or 3 fucking days.
It's just a bit of chat.
Do you know what I mean? All it is just making a bit of a stance. I'm saying, but they were so disappointed. I'm like, you've got... These players give up so much of their time for the media and everything. They know what they're doing. This is fucking hard for them as well because they know and they love the fans. But it's not about disrespecting the fans. That's what I'm more or less saying. No disrespect to the fans. It's about the NRL. It's about getting a fair CBA done. So if you listen to the show, it gets explained. He explains it so well. And so we can just go forward from there. You're not going to get the full explanation in the Telegraph, guys, because they control the narrative, the mainstream media, the NRL. They try and just make the RLPA look like we're greedy fucking pigs. Like it's not it. It's not the facts. But Jimmy, he explained it really well.
Yeah, I think. Look, obviously there are people that message you, Mace, but I reckon the wider majority of the fans, I reckon probably more 80% are on with the players.
100%. I think she just wanted to have a crack at me. I'm like,
there are plenty of people, and there are plenty of people that write comments that are derogatory towards the fans. I think Lukey was speaking to a fan on our behalf after he posted something last week. He loves getting into it. There's one person you don't want to get fired up. Don't worry about Clint Newton, Andrew Abdo, or fucking Peter V'landys or me or Mace. Don't get fucking Lukey fired up because I'm starting to get all the notifications coming up on my phone. I'm like, levels is going off right now. What's going on? So I go on there and Lukey's going at it with this guy who, again, I think is in the minority with regards to not understanding the situation or even, not understanding the situation is wrong, but maybe opposed to the RLPA's views and their reasoning for doing what they're doing.
What it is you come forward with an uneducated sort of comment, right? Just to educate yourself. Hopefully this episode now will educate a lot of the fans and just go from there. Now make your educated fucking assumption and see where we're going from.
Yep.
That's all we're trying to do is educate you guys. We're not going to sit here. We don't try and control the narrative, all that kind of stuff. We've got Jimmy on here. Go and do yourself a favour. Watch a Triple M interview with Gordon Tallis, Clint Newton, Jimmy Graham and James Hoops. Watch Clint Newton just schooled them all. They all like schoolboys. It was embarrassing. So you got some really good guys heading the RLPA, and good work to Clint Newton, Jamie Buhrer, Tommy Simons, all good guys.
Keep fighting the good fight for
Keep
the
going,
boys. For the boys.
All the boys.
Fuck yeah. All right, let's get into our Origin. Origin is just around the corner, mates, but it feels like with all the news, it's sort of been put to the side, but let's get into it. Our Origin predictions. New South Wales, we're going to go through our man of the matches, X Factor, weakness, first try scorers, our score, and Wally Lewis medal. Mace, why is Mitch Moses going to win man of the match for New South Wales?
Okay. I'll put a bit of thought into this. First game, broken back. My back is broken.
Tyson.
He got the Tyson. So no hit-ups, no nothing, no meters gained. Nobody knew that, but he played a fucking whole Origin with the broken back.
Well, you didn't even get a meter with broken back. You should get half a meter.
And I just think second game, I thought he was our top 3 player.
Yeah,
he went after it.
He
went after it. He was going on short sides. He was getting that ball. I think with Isaiah Yeo not being in the starting side, and they can just zing it straight to him. He can get straight on the outside of the 4-man. Lead runners, Liam Martin, Koloamatangi on that right side, Liam Martin on the left. We can really fucking go after it because he plays flat and fast. You know what I mean? So I like the way he plays. And if he doesn't have to do it off a fucking block play out the back, which just takes his running game out of it. You know what I mean? Like, it just sort of takes the halfback out of the game.
Yeah.
If you're doing
just
these
a quick
block
one,
plays.
actually. I'm just thinking about it out loud when you said that.
Yeah.
Do you reckon Koloamatangi and Liam Martin are both pretty versatile?
Yeah.
Predominantly, he plays right, Koloamatangi. Do you reckon Koloamatangi will play with Walker on the left and Liam Martin on the right with Moses?
That could happen. That could easily happen. I think that all these back rows now can play either side. But Koloamatangi loves the right side. If he has but the thing is, like, I don't like Cody Walker just sitting on one left side. You know, I think he should have he should be able to go right side, versatility the license to go anywhere. Moses should be able to go anywhere. We can't just sit on one side of the field. Cody Walker is so fucking dangerous. He's a fucking form player in the whole comp at the moment as a 5'8". Put him wherever he wants. If he sees a short side, doesn't mean Moses can't be on the left. And he's got a great combination with Koloamatangi. So I just think, just with the block plays being out, it'll just be a fucking long ball. Robson can fire darts.
Play more flat.
Straight more flat. Just a little bit of maybe a block play in front of Moses so he can take the markers out. Moses comes around the back, he plays square. Dummy drop, lead out the back, all those sort of really good shapes that Queensland sort of play. So I think Moses, if he can do that and play how Mitch Moses plays, he'll be our best player.
Well, our friends at the tab have got Mitch Moses for $10 for man of the match.
And I just think he's like, third game, I've fucking arrived. This is that sort of game.
Okay, I like it. I like the thought process. You know who has arrived? Cameron Munster, the money man, the Prez.
Yeah, about 5 years ago.
The Prez. Even before he started playing, he'd arrived. And he is one guy who hasn't really put his stamp on this Origin. He's had really nice moments.
That's scary.
And that's the scary thing, right? And when I think about this, you start looking for value. Exactly what I was talking about before, mate. Sometimes I go through and look at odds and I try to chase what I think to be value. You know what's value? $7.50 about the Prez for man of the match, based off he is the best player on the field, he has the most runs on the board, and I know he's a dog, right? And he's sitting back going into game 3 and going, Ruben Cotter, Lindsay Collins. He's almost, I reckon, mentally, he's playing a little game with himself. Plus, and we'll probably get to this eventually, you'll get to this, not many State of Origin players get to say they've been a part of a sweep. And I've seen Jonathan Thurston has said
2010.
Said that recently. That's how Lockie got the boys up in 2010. And he's got that competitive edge about him. And I love it even more. I'd actually, like I talked about in game 1, he's the sort of guy when you want things when they're not happening for you. I love the fact that it's a call in New South Wales because there are other players that'll probably maybe drop a level, but his dog inside of him will make him go to another level. So he's the favourite to win player of the match, and for a reason, my man is Cam Munster. What about you for New South Wales? Let's talk X Factor now. And you mentioned him before, Cody Walker.
Yeah, it is Cody Walker. I think he's X Factor every single game he plays. Whatever level he's at, he's always that guy. When he's on, that team's on. And hopefully, he's had a bit of a crack in Origin. He hasn't really
6 games.
Yeah, he hasn't really solidified himself as an Origin player. I think with that sort of, it was either him being MOM or Moses. I could switch him around, being like they could be X Factors and men of the matches. But Cody Walker, I think, like he's getting a bit older. What is he? 33, 34? He's
turning 34
might
this
be
year.
his last Origin series.
No, next year.
Might be his last Origin game. Do you know what I mean? Like if they're going to go look, you don't know when your last Origin game is anyway. It'd be good if he goes out for man of the match or just kill it and just go, oh yeah, I'm that dude. You know what I mean? I deserve it. And he's got that X factor written all over him, man.
If they lose this game, it will be his last game for sure.
There'll be a lot of last games. There'll be a lot of one and dones in this Origin series, which sucks. But yeah, I just think Cody has that. He has all the requisite skills: passing, kicking, defense. I mean, they'll be trying to get underneath his skin, and this will be a great test for him to see how if he can just keep his cool. You know, they're going to go at him. They're going to be lipping him. There'll be times when we're behind. There'll be times when we're in front. There'll be times where they're going to fucking get at him. You know what I mean? So whether he can keep his cool, he's the leader in that team. He's the leader. He's the oldest player, and he really needs to grab that and just like lead these guys into a win, mate. We don't want to sweep. You don't want to be part of a sweep.
No one wants to be part of a sweep. I'll tell you who does want to be part of the sweep on the right end of it. My X Factor, this one's value. I'll get you some real value. Jeremiah Nanai, $51. Oh, by the way, Cody Walker is $9 with our friends at the tab for man of the match. So he is better odds than your man of the match, right. Mitch Moses. The X Factor, they think he really does have X Factor, and he's second or third favourite. My one's a big roughie. Now, you think of Ruben Cotter, something around, he started off the bench. No one would have expected that. Lindsay Collins, again, same thing. Jeremiah and I hope he starts. I will be furious if something happens and they start a front row and put Ruben Cotter on the edge again. A bit. I know. But even though he still come on at the 60-minute mark, you've got to remember, at that point, Jeremiah and I had probably put together one or two half-decent games for the Cowboys. After that Origin, he played really well for the Cowboys, played really well in that Origin. I think this Origin series has really kick-started the Cowboys team. I agree. And I think it's going to lead to a big end of the season. And I love the value for Jeremiah and I at $51 on the tab for the man of the match. Ooh. Maybe just have a little bit of nothing crazy, a little 5 or 10er, not going to hurt the bank account. Gamble responsibly, obviously, of course. But he's the sort of guy,
set, man.
Like, for me, you'll see my score a little bit later on. If this blows out and he can get a double. He can get a double. Then
always has a knack to where the ball is all the time.
He chases the ball so well. He competes on every play.
Best
and that's
right
why
side back row in the game. He is at the moment. Him and Nikora. Nikora.
Yeah, I like that one, mate. All right, if you perceive there to be a weakness, which I'm sure there are a few for New South Wales, what is that? And you wrote down?
Yeah, I think the lack of cohesion and combinations, right? Maybe that's a factor.
For sure, it is.
It is. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like Moses and Cody Walker. They're going to be friends, all right? But Cody don't like anyone. Do you know what I mean? Like he's had run-ins with every single fucking player on both sides.
Who doesn't have a South
Sydney jersey on? He's fucking going at you. And if you're in the halves, he's gotten in your face somewhere.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think that lack of the combinations, which is right, and I think, with the bench, having Gutho on the bench, no real plan for him. Like the rookies again with Bradman Best. It's just, we picked a fucking new side. You know what I mean? We haven't done anything. There. And then I think another thing that I wrote down was like the fact that Queensland want to sweep us so bad. That's a fucking, that's a weakness. And it'll see if we have the balls to come out and not get swept. That's the big battle. That'll show the battle of wills and everything like that. They want to sweep us. We don't want to get swept. That's why it's fucking only been 2 sweeps in the last 20-something years. Do you know what I mean?
There's always a response.
There's such a big fucking you just don't want to be part of a team that got swept. They want to sweep us so bad that on our home ground, everything like that. So they'll go up. They don't give a fuck about them winning. They've already won. They've got Billy Slater in that team. Part of the sweep. Nate Miles, part of the sweep. GI, part of the sweep. Fucking Cam Smith, JT, all part of the sweep. You don't think the whole fucking talk will be about a sweep?
They bring in the brooms?
They don't give a fuck, do you know what I mean? Let's embarrass them on their home ground. This is the talk that's going to be all week. Don't foot on throat mentality, embarrass the shit out of them. Fucking all these, they'll be going through the history of the game, everything, all these little clips, fucking worst side ever, this, you know what I mean? So the difference is, how do we combat that as New South Wales? How does the coaching staff combat that? Well, we just don't want to get swept, boys. Like there needs to be something that's lying in your fucking gut that's fucking hurt and going, fuck. You need fucking Gus Gould in there fucking talking to you before a game.
Yeah,
someone
speeches.
Like that. Yeah. Do a fucking speech. You hit the boys with a speech before South.
Well, it feels like you're getting the boys pumped up.
No,
a bit.
but
Maybe we chuck you in there.
You know what I mean? Like, but he like something needs to really like trigger something in your brain and in your gut where you just fucking don't want to let the state down. All this sort of shit where we don't get swept. Oh. You know what I mean? So just that they're just the little factors. That's the weakness. The weakness is a strength as well. We can flip that and go, we're not getting fucking swept. Coming out here and we're gonna fucking give it to them.
Turn a negative into a positive.
Yeah, you got to.
You know what? And I'm not even trying to be condescending in a way to anyone in New South Wales. I couldn't find a weakness for Queensland.
Yeah, it's
like
hard.
I look at the lineup was exactly who I would have picked.
The weakness is fucking us not letting you sweep.
That's it. That's it. But because of all the reasons, once I seen the interview from JT talking about the mindset that Lockie said, how
it's fucked.
People remember sweeps. I just think they're going to turn what could have been perceived to be a weakness into a strength themselves. And I think about the guys, the competitors that they've got in their team.
It's a battle of wills.
They've got a hungry young team.
Battle of wills. It is a battle of wills.
Who's going to... which player in that team is going to take it easy and not want to sweep a New South Wales team and kick them while they're down and out? And I legit couldn't find a weakness. Moving on to our first try scorers from each team. Mace, who is going to score first for the Blues?
It was hard. I was going to go with Ruffy, sort of like a back row, Liam Martin or someone like that. But I've gone with Toto. I think he's been one of our best.
He has.
He has, mate. He is. And he's copped maroon brick wall after maroon brick wall. Yep. You know what I mean? He's copped the hits. He's still making nearly 200 metres a game, averaging that. He's played twos and threes and whatever. He just doesn't stop. He's a fucking machine. He is an absolute machine. I think we'll catch him. We'll catch him jamming in off those plays. As I said, like as our structure will change, it won't be the block plays. We're coming up and boom, boom, boom. It'll be straight on an edge straight away with Moses. Bang, bang, bang.
Oh, so you like the right edge, eh?
Yeah.
Yep. Critter.
I like it.
Kaloa Mantangi potentially.
Yeah, I think Critter might be able to shake and bake his centre. Little flick. Find him in the corner.
On the hammer.
Yeah. Even though Hammer's been fucking outstanding.
Yeah, Hammer has been.
I don't know. I just think like with the block plays being out, and I think playing flat and fast, I think we can sort of skin them out wide.
Well, that brings me to my guy. Flat and fast, quick play the balls, dominating through the middle. I think Queensland are the far superior team. I think they're going to play with that energy. Therefore, I want to get off the back of quick play the balls. Who am I taking? The dummy half.
No.
Harry Grant.
Yes.
Harry Grant.
Is he going to start, bud?
Well, I've got the options for both. So, with our friends at the tab, Brian Totter, by the way, is paying $11 for first try scorer. And for any time, let me get that as well. Actually, I've had that before. One sec.
Harry Grant, right.
Brian Totter is paying $2.30 any time. One, I'm going Harry Grant if he starts. If Ben Hunt starts, I'll go Hunty, but I like Harry Grant even better. I'd love Harry to start, and I think Harry will start in this because realistically, even though you are going for the sweep, there's not the pressure of having to play mind games. I think Billy starts this game 1-13, and therefore give me Harry Grant at $26.
If you're a forward for Queensland right now, Carrigan, Flegler, I think Flegler's out. Tino, Ruben.
No, Carrigan's in.
Carrigan's in.
Flegler's
but
out.
Flegler's
Yep.
out. You got Tino, you got Lindsay, you got Carrigan. Are you scared of anyone in that 4-pack in the front row? Like we've got Jakey and you got Reg. We don't have Payne Haas.
Well, you don't want to
just
run.
the side. I'd rather run at Payne Haas than Jake Trebojevic.
Correct, but you'd rather tackle Jakey than tackle Payne. So there's like.
But like, what about Reg? What about Reg? I think
Reg.
Me personally, he's about 6'6". Like, I'd rather him come off the bench when they're a little bit more tired. And because they have got such great tackle tech with Ruben Cotters and Tino hits like a fucking truck.
So wait till they're fatigued.
Yeah, and then he can sort of, his leg speed can really get through the ruck.
So would you rather Saifidi start then?
I'd rather Saifidi because I think he's a lot harder to tackle. And I think Reg has got such long limbs and they can bend and hit through him a fair bit. He hasn't played that much footy.
What about a guy like Isaiah Yeo then taking the sting out as a front rower?
No, he's not heavy enough. They'll fucking, like, if he's going to play front row, he'd be doing a tough job. I'm just saying, like, Reg could do a job off the bench. Like, I'd start Saifidi because I think Saifidi's not scared of anything. He's hard to tackle, man. And he's a fucking big boy. Reg coming off the bench, just a little bit different, you know, like just the body types from Queensland. Fucking, they drive through you. You know, Tino can fucking absolutely smash her. Who's the other prop for Queensland? Lindsay?
Lindsay, you know, Ruben Cotter started with
Cotter,
Tino.
great tackle technique.
Lindsay Collins,
Carrigan,
Lindsay
great
Collins
tackle tech. Nanai can pop. Nanai can get you. You know,
so this is twice now in predictions where you've turned my try score into what your middles are going to do or who's going to score for New South Wales. And this is the passion that you have for your state.
I just don't know. Like, I don't want to, I don't know. Like,
you don't like talking positively about Queensland, do you? Harry Grant, $26, first try scorer any time, $5.50. I think it's good value. I think Harry's going to get a couple of opportunities.
Yes.
I think they're going to roll
anytime.
Anytime,
get
$5.50. And then same thing. If Ben Hunt starts, he's $29. Probably don't like him as much as Harry, but hopefully Harry starts.
And the reason why I did mention all that about the forwards was because to bring into Harry Grant the quick play the balls through the ruck.
Yeah, to build the momentum.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep,
so
that's where it all started.
If you're playing flat and fast, that's why like I got into that sort of. My mind went there because I'm like,
who's going to stop?
We're going to fucking get rolled in the middle, maybe. Yeah. You know, and that's where Harry Grant plays his best football.
Okay. All right, sweet as. All right, what about for the score? How did New South Wales win? No, not how, but what is the scoreline you've got written down? Do you want me to?
Yeah, I said 22-10.
Yep.
New South Wales.
You don't sound confident.
I wasn't confident right now. But I can't go against New South Wales. No. I just think, fuck. As I said, like it's the mindset.
Don't you even think like even just field goal sounds more realistic?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, anyway, either way, that would be 1-12, and that's paying $3.60 at the tab.
Yeah, maybe we could go 23-10 then.
20, you want 13 plus?
13 plus.
All right, let me have a look at that. I didn't have that prepared.
But I just think, I don't know, we can come out to a good start. We can hold it down.
13 plus, $6.20
It's going to be a battle of wills. It's going to be our boys. We're just going to have to go at it. This is all, you know, we've already fucking lost the series, right? We've got to salvage something. We can't be a part. We can't be a part of the sweep. And all these players, it's got to be fucking embedded in their brains before they run out in this field. You're representing more than yourself.
Well, I'm going the opposite, Mace. I am going Queensland 13 plus. I feel like this year in particular has been more consistent than not with teams following patterns and playing like you know what to expect out of certain teams. And I know what to expect out of teams that aren't travelling as well. Like when you think about the inconsistency of teams like the Dragons, Tigers, Bulldogs, but even more, a little bit further up, the Roosters, the Manlys, the Titans, super inconsistent. And then you think of teams like the Raiders, the Warriors, who you just like, this might sound a bit weird, but like, even though it's been a great competition, there has been consistencies among some of these teams, right? And New South Wales has been a lot more consistent, not only in this series, obviously, with being up 2-0, but also...
You mean predictable or consistent?
Their players have been consistent with their efforts. So even if you think about the Roosters and Teddy, for example, right? He had no confidence coming into it. Tommy wasn't playing... Like, he had 2 good games before, I'm talking about Tommy Trbojevic, before Origin, but before that, there were very, like, up and down moments.
Well, you were saying that you wouldn't pick him. Well, that's
exactly
massive. Right. But punters were saying don't pick him.
Yeah.
So...
$3.40, 13 plus, Queensland. I like it as well. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have a little multi. I'm going to chuck it in the Levels Punters Club multi. This just happened to me organically. I'm going to go 13 plus Queensland into Harry Grant anytime. So I'll get that together. I'll chuck it in the Levels Punters Club after the episode.
That could work.
And we'll chuck that in.
Because I'll be at the game. If that happens, I'm going to come down sideline if I can choke you out.
All right. Well, you're going to be there? Oh, great.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, I'll come down and see you on the field. I've got the all-access pass too, so I'll just come down to the tunnel. All right. Moving on to the Wally Lewis medal. Oh, there we go. Yes, but we've got one more to go, Lukey. Lukey just told us about the special odds that are around the tab that have provided for the Origin. But before we get into that, the Wally Lewis medal, Mace, Ruben Cotter, you've got written down. He is paying $4 at the tab. He is the equal favourite with my selection. Yes. But why will Ruben Cotter get it?
I just think he's built for these games. I think some games DCE can just be like, you know, kick good, and he's been outstanding in the first 2 games.
Yep.
But these Origin efforts like that, chase down, he's done some really crucial. Well,
for everyone, DCE is my pick.
Yeah, and mine was going to be DCE or Ruben Cotter.
Yep.
And I think Reece Walsh probably would have been nearly the front runner if he wasn't suspended for doing nothing. But
thanks, David.
Thank you, David. I just think Ruben Cotter, like, this is a game where it suits him. Like, it'll be dirty, it'll be grimy. He doesn't stop. He'll play 80 minutes. He's gonna get every opportunity to do some fucking great things. DC, as I said, like, he'll do the right things. You'll make the right play. But Ruben Cotter has got more opportunity to do outstanding things. Like, all those little things. Like, he'll probably get 20 touches and like fucking 40 tackles. Like, if he just does that and does nothing, he's bound to do about 3 or 4 good things out of 20 touches.
That's true.
You know what I mean? I'm just thinking like the average.
Not necessarily 20 carries, but 20 touches.
He'll play 20 cuts. You'll go at the back a couple of times. He'll do a couple of offloads, all that kind of stuff. Probably more because he plays 80. Be on the edge. Be on in the
He'll
middle.
definitely get 40 tackles.
Yeah, easy. He's just fucking standard for him. So I just think he can get that. I think Carrigan, honourable mention.
Yep.
He'll have to come up with something ridiculous. But fuck, that Cotter, he just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
He's built for Origin. He's the new Nate Miles.
He is.
And that's the fucking biggest rap you can get.
Yeah, for a Queenslander for sure. So my one is I'm going DCE. Now it's a little bit harder as well, right? Because actually Munster's just coming into favourite, $3.50.
What for Wally
at the tab? Yeah. So this is the hard thing with Munster and Daly, right? The fact that they haven't actually won a man of the match yet. Punters.
Sorry. So MOM doesn't necessarily mean you get the fucking 6 points, right?
Now you can get. So last year, Callum Ponga got man of the match
because I think Lindsay Collins wouldn't have got any points in that last game, even though we got man of the match. I don't think he gets 6 points. I reckon he would have got 1.
Oh no! He's got that's how it works.
So MOM, you get the 6 points.
He got the maximum points.
Okay, I just thought that it's a Channel 9 man of the match. Doesn't
mean
shit.
No. That the people on Channel 9 who vote for the man of the match, they're the voters.
Sorry.
So he would have definitely got maximum points for that game.
Okay.
Ruben Cotter would have got it for this game 1. But how many points did Cam Munster and Daly Cherry Evans get in either of those games? I thought they would have been pretty close. Munster in particular in the first game, probably not in the second game. Probably DCE in the second game, not as much in the first game. So I'm going DCE, $4. I think he can, if he has a big game, he gets man of the match, then it puts him in a good position to steal it from Ruben Cotter. I think Ruben Cotter will get it.
Well deserved. If he gets MOM and absolutely just carves us, he should get the Wally Lewis medal because he has been the best player. If he especially in this last game, if he can get it done, I reckon he deserves it.
All right, beauty.
Do you reckon he retires from rep footy after this? If he can get that?
No,
neither do I.
He's in too good a shape.
Yeah.
I know, like physically and mentally, he's in a really good shape at the moment. It's not like he's
not dying down.
He's not dying down. He's not falling off.
He's gotten better. He's 34.
How was Cam Smith? Was 38 when he retired?
Yeah, he's an anomaly, man. Don't even worry about
36?
37.
34.
What? Cam
39.
Smith? 39. What? 38. I think he was neck and neck with Tom Brady.
I tell you what, he's not that much of an anomaly compared to what DCE is capable of where he's at right now because
he plays halfback. You don't play in the middle for one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I'm just saying, like
37, he retired.
He's playing in probably the best system in the world. Melbourne. DCE's got to do everything at fucking Manly.
Let's get into our Queensland State of Origin 3 offer from our friends, our partners at the tab. This is a good one. We're getting away from the margins. We're getting from the anytime try scorers. Mace, we've got a good one here. We have Xavier Coates and Murray Taulagi to have a combined 2 tries between them. So it can be 1 try apiece, or it can be either Coates or Taulagi to score 2, at least 2 each.
That
is a good bet for $4 with a maximum bet of $25. So those are specific odds. You can find those on the special sports offers at the tab. And I also want to remind everyone, as always, we want everyone to be playing safe during this footy season. So please keep front of mind, what are you really gambling with? And if you need free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. You can find all our current LPC bets under the Bets Friends banner on the Tab app. Now, Mace, let's talk about those awful Tigers. As I get back to my notes. Sorry, mate.
It was another hard.
The Tigers were actually. I was only kidding, mate. The Tigers were a lot better. It was a competitive first half, Mace, but Sharks showed their class in the end in key positions to really kick away in this one.
Nico Hines, man. I mean, their backline's there's fucking Will Kennedy. He's fucking good.
Still super underrated, isn't he?
Talakai, you look near unstoppable. Once they get that shape, how are you stopping that guy? How are you stopping him? Is it Totter? The young kid, Stafford Totter.
He's
fucking. You just can't sit on your heels like that, mate.
You can't
be
on the back
120
today.
kilos. You have got to be, as soon as he catches, you need to be hitting on ball.
Aggressive.
You cannot be like that. He is too big and short. He just shoves him off, and I was just like, wow, that's just terrible defense, man. But you can't let him get that far into your line. When Nico's digging that far into your line, he's bringing up everybody. And out the back, lead guy out the back. All Talakai's got to do is catch the ball and fall over the line.
You're not going to stop him from that.
No, mate, but it's just their defensive principles are all over the shop. But
what about some of the positives coming out of the Tigers, mate? I thought Tommy Talau was really good for him. He got his second try disallowed. I really like, and I say this all the time, I like Blore and Fanua Pole. They just really need to address their spine, mate. And there were reports last week that Adam Dewey is
on the outer.
Yeah. He may not play next year with all the injuries that he's had.
That's a shame, man. He's such a talent.
They do really just need to fix those halves, don't they? Because they've got some nice
kid,
pieces. I like Tommy Talau at Manly next year. I think he's going to go well.
Mate, he's been unlucky. It takes about 18 months to come back from an ACL. Usually comes back, if he's coming back, it's probably about, 12 months, probably 12 to 16 months now at the moment.
Yep.
Don't quote me on that, but about 18 months. He'll finish the year off pretty good, like he is.
Yep.
You can't start bouncing off. You know, what you do when you do an ACL,
I think he did his ACL in the preseason
pretty early, yeah.
Or
so
game
you can cop the contact, right? But it's that next step, driving through, bouncing off both legs.
Someone taps your legs.
That's what you really get scared of. And it takes about 18 months to have that confidence. And around about that time is right now. So you're seeing he'll probably finish the year off pretty good. And I think he'll probably have an outstanding couple of years at Manly where he signed. I think Manly's always competitive, man. When you got Tom Trbojevic, hopefully he has a whole full preseason, gets his body right. You got DC, you got Schuster, you got good fullback. Steph, like the fucking the back rower, Olakawatu and stuff like that. They got a decent team, good outside backs. Tigers. It's hard. They got some really good forwards. Did Papali'i play?
Yeah, Papali'i played, yeah.
Yeah, he had a real quiet game. I think did Clemmer play?
Clemmer played, yeah, they're playing.
They really got outplayed. I watched that whole game.
The only one that didn't play out of their normal lineup is
mate.
Alex Twal, who got suspended for the hip drop the week before. Moving on to the Sharks, mate.
Yeah.
The fact that they took a little bit to get in this game, it sort of felt like they were hoping for the Tigers to fall away. And they still haven't beaten. The narrative is they haven't been a top 8 side.
No. Well, it's hard when they're not playing top 8 sides.
Well, you got to play what's in front of you.
In the last 6 weeks, they haven't played
Would you have liked them to be more convincing in this, or
No.
Did you expect to bounce back from the Tigers just like your Bulldogs did?
100% I expected to bounce back. Tigers, 74-0. Jeez, you just can't wait to get back on the field. And I think did they get back to 12 all?
It was 12 all going in half time.
That's pretty decent. And then Cronulla's, they have too much strike power. And they're consistent in what they do, and they're fucking very good defensive. So they would have been Fitzy wouldn't have been happy with that first effort.
Yep.
And Fitzy's one of those coaches, he'll rip holes into you, and they come out and react. And he got what he wanted. He got the win. It's awful. I think where was it at? Leichhardt or
it was at
Parramatta Stadium.
It was at CommBank, yeah.
So great ground, bit dewy, all that kind of stuff. It was hard to sort of execute at some times, but yeah, I think the Sharks, you just get through games like this, man. It's round 18.
Well, speaking about getting through the game and execution, Dragons lost to the Canberra Raiders at home down on Wollongong 26-36, Mace. So the Raiders scrape home in this. Mace, the Raiders were travelling, though, in this one, but again made it harder than it needed to be. Is this a worry, and will it serve them well later in the year? So are they going to be battle-hardened, or is the for and against of -55 going to cost them potentially not only a top 4 berth if they're fine for that, it's currently sitting in 6th, but missing out on the 8, it could become really costly.
We'll have a look where they are. Third, 4th, 5th, all like on 26 points. So that could come into consideration. Yeah, they're -55. Jesus Christ. I think they'll just rely on winning.
Realistically, they should have won this by 30.
Yeah, they should have. But it doesn't usually go your way. It's not like they wanted to put them to bed, but St. George just kept fighting. Got a couple of little tries here and there, and it was just like, here we go again. But Canberra was never, ever going to lose that game. But for a moment there, I was just like, fuck, they score one more try.
Yeah, they'll come.
It could change. I think, St. George, that's probably the culture in both sides.
Yeah.
Like Canberra's like, we're in control of this. Where St George are hoping that Canberra's off.
That's true.
You know what I mean? They're going, fuck, I hope Canberra make a mistake in this set of 6. No, they're not. They're going to finish the game off, end up getting that late try, and then getting the win. George was fucking. They were good. They were all right.
Well, they showed some fight in the second half. They're awful in the first half.
The Amone kid. Yeah.
So I wrote down. This is what I got in the notes, mate. He showed some real fight in this game, especially early on when things weren't going their way. And I wrote the only difference between him and Isaiah Katoa up at both Tongan boys, both sixers, both young halves, similar builds, similar body shapes. Only thing is difference is coaching.
I think so too. It's confidence. You know, Wayne installs confidence into young kids like that. The young Katoa kid keeps it simple, not too much. He needs to be in a really good system. If he was in a, just say he was at Penrith even, he'd be a superstar.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, put him in the Brisbane system, put him in South. You know, he's only 20 years old, 21 years old. Melbourne.
Yeah,
you know, put him all in the top 4 systems, and he'd go great.
Speaking of systems, what about another guy? Zach Lomax played pretty well in this one. Got moved to fullback there for a little bit later in the half.
The second half was good.
If you're the Dragons, if you're Flano, are you sending a message to Ryan Carr and going playing more at fullback because we need to see? Like, they don't necessarily have their answer there.
What happened to Sloan there?
Sloan's been injured with HIA. He's missed the last couple of weeks.
He's been playing good, man.
He was.
He fucking scored that try last week out of nothing. Yeah. And he's been...
The Sharks
and you know what I've been pleased with him? His defence.
Yeah.
His defence, he's been putting his body on the line.
You questioned that about 5 weeks ago, didn't you?
Yes, and I did. He was like... I remember when we played him down at Wynn Stadium and Averillo scored down there and he was the last line defence and it was like there was no one there. Since then, I think he got dropped and he's been coming back. He's worked on his defence, so I love that. Attack is going to be easy for him. Yep. He can just play football. But defensively, he's really got to show up. And I can see his line org, the way he talks behind the line. Yep. I can see that. With fullbacks who talk really loud like that and telling all these middles where to go, I can see that in him. And I like that. Okay. I like that. I like that with Sloan because he has everything. He's big, he's strong, he's fast. He's got a fucking footy IQ. He's got everything. He's a footballer. You've got to be patient with this kid.
He reminds me a bit of Peachy the way he glides.
Got that peach in him, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But be patient with this kid. You know, like you got to cultivate and like, you know, he's a young Indigenous brother as well. You know, he's not the same. You can't coach him the same as Zach Lomax. You know, and that's where coaching is so important. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, Zach Lomax is a centre. I think he's an out-and-out right-side centre.
Okay. All right, what about another guy playing out of position? Jack Whiten was playing in the middle for the Raiders because they played Frawley at 6.
Frawley played good.
He did, yeah. You know who also played good? I put down his half. Fogarty's been really good for him. Been good. I've got to give Fogarty credit because when he first come from the Titans to the Raiders, I thought he's a solid player.
I just thought he had massive arms.
He's ripped. He is ripped.
Yeah, he's big.
He's fucking bit of a glamour, actually. Yeah. But I sort of... His short kicking game is a lot better than I ever anticipated. Yeah. He's hitting the post at will now. He scored 2 for himself. He's aiming for it. He set Frawley up for his one.
I like the way he plays because he defends really good. I watch a lot of the communication with halves, hookers, and the fullbacks. You know how they organise stuff, and he's always barking.
Yeah, he's
always barking. I like that with a halfback. He's always telling his forwards where to go. He demands that, and they respect him. It's a big thing with halfbacks, you know. And he's a bit older too. He's not young, is he?
No, he debuted late as well.
Yeah, he debuted late.
So he'd be about 29.
He's a leader of men. You know, he takes a lot of pressure off Jack. Jack can just do his thing especially when Jack's 5'8".
Yep.
He controls everything else. Jack does his thing on the left side there. You know, and you got guys like Rapana and all these other guys. They've got a decent outfit down there, man.
They do.
I reckon they're going to be scary.
You don't want to play them.
I don't want to fucking play them round 1 in the semis. If they finish 6th, they play 8. 5th, and then they play 8th. 8th's done. It's done.
Yeah.
And it could be a decent side too, but who's coming 8th because of all goal 5th.
It's going to be
for and against.
Yep.
Or if they could be 8th because of their for and against.
Yeah.
And they're going to play 5th.
Yeah.
That's awful.
You'd hate to play Canberra down in Canberra though. So
you know Canberra's like, they don't give a shit where they play.
Yeah, true.
They're going to get you.
Sticky will thrive in it. All right, the Eels versus the Warriors. Eels were missing a heap, mates, but this is a bounce back from a team that needed to bounce back after the Warriors lost to South. Does this sort of performance say to you that the Warriors are true contenders? Because this is how contenders should, if they had an off week last week against the Rabbitohs who were undermanned, and they come out and do this against an undermanned Parramatta team.
Yeah, I mean, I told you a couple of weeks ago that I trust the Warriors.
Yeah.
I trust them. You know, like Parramatta still had a decent side.
They did, yep.
You know, they
Junior
got
Bolo,
some real key players out.
Ryan
Don't
Madison.
get me wrong. But
their spine was out.
Yeah, but still they put 40 on them.
And that's what you should do, right?
Yeah, they did exactly what they wanted to do. That's a scary team there.
They're well drilled, really
man.
good.
They're well drilled.
Metcalf's starting to come to his own. So now, obviously, the right's been doing a lot of damage in weeks past. If the left starts humming, because I reckon they have the best middle attack. And I want to clarify that, as in with regards to scoring, it feels like they score through the middle every week, whether it's Wade Egan, Adam Fanua-Blake, Mitchie Barnett a couple, Dylan Walker's ran through untouched a couple of times. They got you a couple of times in the Bulldogs. Remember the no-looker that they play look out the back, play short? They want to come through the front door.
They do. And that's the way Warriors play. They've gone back to their DNA.
Yep.
They fucking run hard and they hit hard and they'll come straight through the front door. And Wade Egan has a big part to do with that. He hits the bloke. He hits the front boys. You know, there's nothing worse being a front guy, being a big boy, and your 9 always goes out the back.
Just decoy.
Just fucking hit me, mate.
Yeah.
Hit me every now and again. You got to make the big boys happy. Even if they do get tackled, we don't give a shit.
Just like that try that you scored in that England game. You thought it was off tongue. It was just off the dummy half. Hit me.
Just fucking hit me. You're going to go through. I'm going 40. But I think Wade Egan's underrated, man. He's very underrated.
Yeah, I've said it for a while now. I think he's going to be, for me, I reckon he's a guy like Jeremy Marshall-King this year. Bit under the radar. If you're a proper rugby league fan, you know who Wade Egan is. Yeah. And with Warriors playing well and going into the finals, I think you're going to...
Who's the other player? Is it Bunty?
Bunty or
He runs fucking hard. So when you're in the middle there, and the reason why they do get you on edges is because you have to account for Adam Fanua-Blake and Bunty, and you got fucking Tohu Harris. You know what I mean? They are genuinely trying to score. And then you got Ian stepping out a little bit, and that's where the markers really have to put pressure on the 9.
He looks
pressure on the 9.
He
looks this way. Fanua-Blake's hitting on the outside of the post there. So you really got to account for the 9, and you account for about 3 blokes who are genuinely trying to score. That means they're going to pull you apart on the edge or pull you apart on the right out wide where Montoya and Dallin are scoring.
Yep.
So that's why, because these guys are genuinely trying to score tries. There ain't no fake little decoys. Some teams, you can see it. They're not really fucking doing it. They're just doing it for a little decoy, just running through. Like, you're not getting the fucking ball.
I think Adam scored 5 tries this year.
Fucking mate.
4 or 5, 6.
And he's got late footwork too. So it's not when he gets the ball, that's what you're going to get. He's going to step, he's going to hit and spin, he'll fucking offload. He's got a fucking arsenal of weapons.
On to Parramatta. After their tough start to the year, they really couldn't afford, when I was watching this game, to have Gutho and... Moses and all that taken away from them, because they had already had a tough start to the year, and they really just couldn't afford to drop this one, really. Because, look, at the end of the day, they'll probably make the 8, but they don't have the easiest schedule to finish off. They've got some pretty good teams, and they are starting to get healthy, and they're playing well when they do have the full deck of cards. But this is a tough one for them, because they would have probably marked this one at the start of the year.
We'll get this one.
Yeah,
because I don't think they expected to have Moses in Origin.
Yep,
and they didn't expect, and they didn't expect to have Gutho or Dylan Brown.
I reckon. Oh yeah, true.
Do you know what I mean? So they expected those 3 guys. They probably expected Paulo.
Yep,
and that's about it.
He's the one that played,
and he's the one. That's what I'm saying. They expected him. They didn't expect Reg. They didn't expect Moses and Gutho. Yeah. So they're 3.
Maybe Regan. I reckon maybe Regan. Definitely junior.
Maybe. You know what I mean? Like, you know. Plus, it's the 3rd game. You're not really, who knows what can happen. But I just don't. They need to go on a run, because they're the ones who could miss out on the 8, because the Cowboys are coming.
They are capable of it. Jermaine Hopgood by the year.
He's up there. He's up. We'll go through that. I think he's top 5.
Yeah.
Top three.
Andrew Webster, coach of the year, lock.
Yeah, I think so. Well, they could easily nearly get into the top 4.
Yep, I agree. All right, moving on to your Bulldogs versus the Rabbitohs, mate. Yep. It was a bounce back. Ooh. You just scraped in the end, 36-32. I've said this to James Graham before. I've said it to you. Coaching does not interest me. This is the perfect example. Cameron Ciraldo would have aged 10 years and 10 minutes with those last 10 minutes. I don't know why people want to coach. I was watching that game just thinking of you with your role as an ambassador at the club and a diehard Bulldogs fucking OG. And me watching games at Manly every now and again. It is a great bounce back, but Sexton and Burton linked up really well straight off the bat. I'm going to say I really like you. I've been telling you for a while now. I don't mind Toby Sexton, and you've got a really good deal there. So basically, you've got a guy who's looking for an opportunity. I think has some talent, and it's almost the perfect spot for you to be right now because for the Bulldogs I'm talking about, you've got a guy with probably no real heavy expectations of being a long-term 7, but if he does, you've got him at a discounted price and you're probably going to get him at a discounted price to re-sign him. So what do you think of Sexton?
I did. I rate him. I rated his performance. He digs into the line. Right?
Yes.
So when he digs into the line, you got your genuine leads, and then it opened up space for Birdo.
Yeah.
You see how many times Birdo ran the ball?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He was on.
Yeah,
Birdo
he was on, and he, like we gave him a goal to just make 150 metres. He made 155 metres for a 5'8". Like he just ran. He just wanted to go at it. He went after it.
Couldn't get me my anytime try scorer. That hurts.
No, fucking does.
I hate it when I hear that fucking stat. 155 and he didn't get me a piece of meat.
Yeah, but he was on. I think our forwards played well. South is still a fucking great outfit. Yeah, their system and their culture is a winning culture. You know what I mean? So they would have went into this game going, you know what, we should be able to beat these guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
they showed some real fight.
They did show some fight. We showed some fucking fight as well. But I think I was really happy with Sexton. I liked the way that he played.
Even diving on that.
I think Tavita
was
played
good.
One of his best games. Yep, he just simplified it, coming off the bench. You know, coming off the bench or starting these days, as long as you're getting the 50 minutes, it doesn't matter.
Even that charge down showed effort that probably hadn't been there in the last couple of weeks from anyone in the front row.
And you know, the whole week was all about effort. It was all about just getting past. You know, I think Gus spoke to the team. It was one of the most inspirational things that, you know, Gus, when Gus talks, everyone listens. And I think it really, really sunk in with some of the players, you know, like started talking about, you know, like tragedy, and, you know, he went through a couple of things in his life and as a footy coach. And he goes, I sat in this meeting on Monday and it felt like someone had died. It's a football game. You know what I mean? We get to go out there every weekend, compete.
Perspective.
Put it in perspective. It's just a fucking game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he obviously said a lot other deeper things and things that really sat in their head. And it was fucking, I was sitting there going, fuck, I want to play. It was one of those Gus speeches that I said, he used to, when he was my Origin coach for 3 years, he used to say that shit just before you run out. You don't want to fucking go through brick walls right now. Yeah. They go, fuck.
That's how you did your bicep. You went into started fucking wrestling in the fucking
he was at about a 5 then. I said, you should see him at a 10. But he was outstanding. But we got the reaction we wanted.
Yep.
They would come up there, they come up. It was a fucking great game, great fight, and we end up winning. And fucking yes.
How good. A guy, and for me, I've been calling for a while now, finally made the switch. I have a real fullback.
Woo!
Told you, man.
Yeah,
He's
man.
just like...
He's so quick,
I know, look, so there must be a frustrating part of this where you can see that defensively he's probably not the best talker and he doesn't have that communication. But in attack, he makes shit happen that hasn't been happening for you guys.
Yeah.
Through the middle, he sort of just pops up. He pushes on everything. Seems like he's got a good engine. He's fit.
He attacks the ball. When the ball gets kicked to him, he'll take that 10
Yes.
he'll take the 10 or 15 metres.
Yep.
And
Rather
then,
than go
and then it
sideways.
helps
Yep.
our middles. So just say if they kick from the 40, we catch on the 40, or catch on the 30, he gets to the 40. So our middles only have to run back 10 or 15 metres
Yep.
instead of fucking 20. You know what I mean? It's a big thing. And then if you
Massive.
keep doing that, you're getting that arm wrestle and the grind. You know, he
Slowly chip away
helped
yardage.
us out so much, Abs. And I think him being at fullback makes him talk.
Yep.
It's fucking making him talk.
Oh, cool.
You know, so when I'm at training, sometimes he's just there and he's behind the line, he's line org, all that kind of stuff, because he has to do it.
Yeah. I'll tell you who was good as well, the other fullback, Blake Taff.
Laffy Taffy, yeah.
Laffy
He's
Taffy.
good, man.
Yeah.
It sucks that he's in that position. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. You know, like when Trell comes back,
I think he's earned the spot for the 14 now.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Because he fucking got him back in the game.
Yep.
You know, we had a couple of rookies playing, like Skelton and Ethan on that left edge. They were, you know, this is first grade now.
Oh, 100%.
You know, you got to learn. You
I
live
like
and learn.
him,
As long as you get better.
Ethan, the kid.
Good kid from
the
Brisbane.
Broncos. Yeah. How long's he been there for?
Fuck, about 3 weeks.
Fuck.
3 or 4 weeks. So he's a great communicator. His upside is big. You know, you got Skelton who's played his first game. You know, there's skills.
I felt for scouting a little bit coming in on as the 18th man, and you don't get to all friends and family. I think Serrato.
What about before the game? I didn't know that he was 18th man. I thought he was playing.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there giving him a mad pep talk, and Ciro's over there looking at me going, like, "What are you sort of talking about?" And I was like, "Mate, just get on there, just, get that the whole thing. It's your first game.
Yeah.
Get in there. Just make sure you do X, Y, and Z. Just like for a big while. And he goes, yeah, no worries. Just get out there, enjoy yourself. Make sure you have fun. And fucking Sarah goes, he's 18th man. He's not playing. He fucking...
Well,
and then
served him well.
And then he got the call up. We couldn't stop laughing after the game. Sarah goes, he's not playing. I said, fuck, I thought he trained all week.
Speaking of rookies, I think they've got a little X factor on that right wing for Souths too. That Tyrone Munro.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Fuck, bro.
How quick is he? My only concern is he's obviously slender. He's still young. They don't really have
strong, bro.
In this day and age, he's got that Cobbo strength, right?
Yeah, man.
Where they're a little bit skinnier, but then they've got a strong base. But I think in finals time, Alex Johnson, Tyrone Munro, you don't have that little nuggety winger like the Tane Milnes that sometimes plays on the right wing. But with regards to X factor and playing out the back with Trell, he can turn something into nothing like that.
He scored that try. He was gone.
He's nice, eh?
He was gone.
I don't know if you've seen him in the Warriors game too. The week before, he scored a try from nothing too off a kick.
You give him 3 or 4 kilos of muscle.
Yeah.
And
he's going to be a player, eh?
He's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Problem.
All right, before we move on, I also want to congratulate Josh Reynolds, who gave up a top 30 spot and retires after one more game at Belmore this week in New South Wales. Shout out to Grub. I know him a little bit. I've seen him around in footy circles. Mace, speak about him and what he means to the club and what the club means to him.
Oh, he means the world to the club. He's a great ambassador for the club. There's going to be a role for him there somewhere. What he means to the Bulldogs, him just coming back and wanting to be part of that 30-man squad, not even part of the 30-man squad, just want an opportunity, right?
Yep.
Just to end it on his terms, force his way into the top 30, but his body's just giving up on him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like he's getting calf injuries, hamstring injuries, back injuries, and sometimes your best ability is availability. I always 100%. Tell you that. And it's sort of breaking down him a little bit. Life after footy, football's not everything, and I think he's probably had those hard talks with himself and with his wife and all his his close friends.
He'll be sweet.
He'll be fine. He come back. Yep, he come back. He did everything that he wanted to do. He got that 7 starting spot back. He got the starting 6 spot back. He did everything. Done himself proud. He's had a great career. Now he can just sort of rest up and just enjoy the rest of his life. As I keep telling, I always talk to him, about life after footy and everything like that, mate. It's not as bad as people think. You know what I mean? Like life after footy depends what you want, depends what your identity is. Do you identify as a footballer all the time? You just look at yourself as Josh Reynolds, a Bulldog player, and this and that? No, he doesn't. Life is massive. You know what I mean? Like we're just a little fucking speck in this earth. You got to look at yourself as more than a footballer. You know what I mean? Like life, it's about family, it's about friends, the right people, making you. There's a lot of things that go into being a great person, and I think he is a great human, and what he's done for the game has been great. He's a good, fucking great human. And I can't wait to be on the coaching staff in a couple of weeks, I reckon.
How good. I still identify as Justin Horo, the Wakey player. Yeah. Wakey Wildcat. The Titans versus Dolphins, 21-23. This was a proper slugfest. This is actually a really high-quality game, Mace, from both teams. Yeah. Titans were obviously missing a lot of star quality, but fuck, they showed some real fight in this. Dolphins found a way to win after a couple of tough weeks. Straight off the bat, let's get into the Titans. Jaden Campbell, he needs to be playing. He was close to my dog of the week too. He's very close. He ran for 300 metres, Mace. Jaden Campbell, he is outstanding. He gets better with every game that he plays when he plays big minutes. They've got a tough situation up there at Gold Coast. Desi's going to have to try to figure this out. You've got AJ Brimson, then you've got Jaden Campbell, and you've got a young kid called Ken O'Kinney up there who goes really well as well. So they've got some big decisions happening up there. Titans can't keep all of them.
What do you do? AJ's a fucking Origin player
at
the moment. Campbell is just getting better and better and better.
If I was going after Ben Hunt and I'm the Titans, one of them a part of my, whether it's Jaden Campbell or Ken O'Kinney, would be a part of my package to send back to the Dragons, because all three, it's way too good not to be playing fullback first grade football.
Yeah.
Keno's probably still got a lot to prove. He's still young.
You keep Campbell in front of AJ? It's fucking hard.
Well, I've said all along I'd play Fozzie at 7, Brimo at 6, but Tanner Boyd's been good too.
Tanner Boyd's good.
I've been waiting
sharpshooter too,
and he's a very good kicker. He's one of the better kickers in the game right now.
Easy, yeah.
He hits them so well. Hits them nice and straight, nice and direct. Good follow through.
He's a decent ball player.
Yeah,
and he defends good.
He's just decent, right? So he's one of those players of. I guess sometimes when you're looking at things that can go wrong or have gone wrong in the past, but sometimes you just got to judge a guy on his merit, right? And he's putting together a pretty decent season.
Decent season, man. Like, this is a season where you're probably looking at all these numbers and all the analytics and what all the coaches and that go through, and he's like he's probably in the top 10 at little things. You know, he defends really well, he kicks really well. You know, try assist, he's always around. Tries scored. Like, he's not that bad. I mean, like, I don't know.
He's in the game.
I don't know. I don't know what you do. This is a fucking big issue for the Titans.
As for the Dolphins, I've got one for you. I know you're going to like this as well. I was watching the game. Wasn't crazy stats, wasn't a crazy performance, but I reckon Uncle Wayne, his next project or the next player he turns into something like a consistent, maybe even a consistent Origin player, is going to be Josh Kerr.
Yeah. I spoke to Josh Kerr like a couple of years ago. He was in the 2020. Yeah.
Yep,
and he was
part
there.
Of the squad.
And he was just playing off the bench. He had a couple of starters and everything
I don't think he ended up playing.
No, he didn't play. play. No,
Yep.
But he was part of that squad.
Yes.
So that's a big thing. He was only young. And I spoke to Curry down when we played St. George, and he just made the decision, right?
Yeah, itching to get out of there.
I said, mate, you'll fucking love it up there. I said, you'll be an Origin player in a couple of years. I said, under Wayne Bennett. I said, just listen to everything he says. I said, he will simplify a lot of your game. You're a big, strong, fit, aggressive man. You're built for this fucking game.
Fuck his legs.
I said, the world's your oyster, mate.
He's almost got, so he's 6'6", 197 centimeters. He's the closest thing to your frame.
Yeah, he is.
In the modern day player, and he's got your leg speed in that. He just doesn't have your runs on the board.
He just needs an opportunity,
and he's got to find your aggression.
Exactly. So he's a big friendly dude. He just
and
needs,
your engine.
Yeah,
he doesn't have your engine.
He gets that, and like once he gets it, and Wayne will fix that. You know what the thing about? I look at the Dolphins. I'm like, geez, there's a lot of big men, like not the fittest looking dudes, like that Tafade fucking. I'm like, mate, who's the S&C?
Yeah.
And I know the S&C.
Yeah.
He was at the Knights. But I think they're just some big humans. Like even
I don't think for some people outside of like you can do as much as you can to train it. It's up to the individual how they prepare life.
And I know some forwards are putting their winter coat on at the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It happens.
Oh yeah, I normally get it.
No. But you know what I'm saying? Like usually after Origin, you start, you got your match fitness, you don't really care. Yeah. You start slipping.
Start of the year, chicken, rice, broccoli.
Yeah, you can't do that. That's when usually after Origin, I always think get through Origin, you start fucking celebrating stuff. If you're in the win Origin,
pizza.
And then about 2 or 3 weeks, and then you start again. No, but you start again.
Yeah.
You start the whole new diet and just try and make a run because they can still make the finals and shit. But I was looking at it, I was like, you got Wallace, you got Tafade, and there's a couple other guys. Herman Sa.
Connolly Lemuelu.
He's
got a Mutters.
There's the winger. Who's the winger?
Tessie New.
Tessie New. He's fucking huge. And I'm just like, hey, I know the SC up there. Even Wayne. I mean, like Wayne's not. Milf looks fun. And I'm not sure if it's the jerseys or not. Because sometimes I'm going to blame the jersey. Like fuck, I don't think it's a jersey.
It's a mixture of both.
Yeah, like fuck, mate.
I reckon them and Raiders have the most mutters across the board,
mate.
From 1 to 17.
Yeah, Dolphins are fucking. They're about 8. I was sitting, and that's all I was thinking of was you. Yeah. Just going, fuck, they got some mutters.
Yeah.
But they're getting the job done.
Yeah, I love
it. You know what I mean? But I'm just thinking, maybe now just go on a little bit of a 4-week diet cleanse, and make a run for it. Because those little things, you want those more meters, more minutes, the back end. You don't want Herman SA busting out at 15, you know what I mean? And Wayne, that's why he has great people around him. Wayne's not a fucking nutritionist. But hey, the old fella can get in there and still bench 90 kilo. Yeah. I've seen him. Yeah. And he's 75 years old now, I think, Wayne. Fuck. Wayne Better's 175 years old.
All right, to finish off, mate, the right call at the end, the penalty by Atkins. He calls the penalty on who's the hooker off the bench? Aaron Clark.
Yeah, Aaron Clark.
He was a metre offside, but Mace, a lot of people will say this, the inconsistencies. How many times do you see that? I, for one, like the call. I think it was the right call, and I think more referees should do this. Kieran Foran come out and said to Atkins, "Geez, it's a big call."
Geez, Fozzie did well, didn't he? I love how Fozzie does it. He goes, "It's a big call."
It's a big call, Grant.
Yeah, I wonder it. But I look at that and I'm like, it wasn't a metre. Like you got to understand, it was like by the time the ball hits the ground, and you can only move when the foot hits the ball. Yeah. People, if you didn't know that, fans, that's when you can move. So go through that. He's fucking 5 meters offside.
He's at least a metre and a half too.
He's way offside. He was nearly at the play the ball by the time the guy picked the ball up.
Yeah.
It was. And I was just like, wow. Like, and when you break it right down like that, because they're the rules, the ball hits the foot.
And Aaron Clarkson mutters too.
Yeah. And he would come off. That was a maximum effort. I get it. But I want the consistency. Yeah. Would you call it if it was 12-all in a grand final with 10 seconds to go? That's the way I look at things. Yeah. Are you going to call that, ref? Fuck.
Probably not.
Probably not. So that's where we look for consistency. That's where fans go, they're offside all the fucking time. Yeah, they are. But I'm like, if you really break that down, I think it was a good call. It sucks if you're a Titans fan, but it is what it is. Suck it up.
And it sucks if you're a New South Wales fan because you lose game 3 of Origin. OG, have a good Origin. You'll be out there.
See you out there Thursday. We do Thursday morning.
Yep, we're going to do the reacts first thing in the morning. Game 3 reacts Thursday morning to be up by Thursday.
Won't be a tough carry like fucking Origin.
Yeah, this time we won't be on the piss for 12 hours straight before we do it. So looking forward to it. Enjoy Origin.
Thank you guys.
OG. We'll see you on Thursday.
See you guys.